If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description. Additionally, if you would like to request novels and access my Google Drive where I have 200 plus audiobooks, then you can join my Patreon. Link is also provided in the description.
Chapter 1, Prologue. Fate, destiny is an interesting topic to think about amongst people. Some believe that fate is predetermined while some believe that fate is decided by the person. Interesting indeed, as I myself can only touch the strings of fate. I sit on my favorite throne in a place that cannot be described and wondered how can I make things more interesting. Seems like everything we build is going to crumble away by my mistake. What do you plan to do? Because I am not interfering, said a voice beside me. The thing beside me can be said as a beast. A white and black beast standing on 4 legs with a gold cage-like structure on his abdomen. My old friend Arceus. Let's say I found someone interesting after messing with soul and destiny manipulation for a while, I said as I held a dark orb in my hand. The world has already chosen a will, this will create disbalance. Are you sure that your cards will work? Arceus, my friend, asked. Don't worry about it. Why do you think that I will even do things without proper planning? Let's say I found a soul that will turn the world upside down for the better, I said. Are you going to use reincarnation magic? Wouldn't that cost you a lot of your power and time? Arceus asked. What can I do about it? I don't want things to end as last time, do I? If we delay things, he might come back to take back the power that you took away from him, my dear Arceus. I was met with silence, but I didn't have to wait long as Arceus decided to speak up. What are you going to give to the retainer that you will be sending? He asked. The strongest power of origin. Arceus widened his eyes hearing that. Impossible. You are giving him some of your powers. His body will instantly explode. I told you not to worry about it, didn't I? There is still time before he will be actually using that power. He will actually start with a weaker version of the power that will grow over time, I said to Arceus, who was still skeptical. He will live as he likes, but there will be troubles that he cannot avoid coming his way. That's the fate of being chosen as a retainer. He will do as he pleases, but there will be certain instances and encounters in which he would do exactly as I intended. You failed when it was your turn, Arceus. It's time I create my masterpiece too. Ah, I can feel the excitement crawling up to me. Destiny is a gift, my dear human soul. Some go their entire lives, living existences of quiet desperation, never learning the truth that what feels as though a burden pushing down upon their shoulders is really a sense of purpose that lifts us to greater heights. Never forget that fear is but the precursor to valor, that to strive and triumph in the face of fear is what it means to be a hero. Become that hero for me. Chapter 2, I Choose You. January. Pallet Town. The rays of the morning sun fell on a handsome boy around the age of 16 who was walking on the road. The gentle wind blew his well-styled black hair as his blue eyes reflected the beautiful scene of Pallet Town. He stood tall with perfect amounts of muscles. He had a strange aura around him, with his looks making everyone on the road glance at him. He had a thin smile that none could tell it was real or not. This is Aoki, a person from the earth that got reincarnated into the world of Pokemon 16 years ago. He wore a black shirt and a red jacket and had a black-colored bag on his back. Back in his previous world, he read a lot of stories about reincarnation but never expected himself to get reincarnated, especially in the world of Pokemon. Some might consider it a world of dreams, but the reality is terrifying. The world of Pokemon is not as harmonious as displayed in the anime. This world is filled with dangers in all corners waiting to turn humans into shreds. There are various locations all over the world that defy logic, like a desert and forest existing side by side. The Pokemon are not as friendly as they appeared in the anime. While growing up, Aoki had witnessed many people he knew die due to attacks from wild Pokemons in the most brutal way possible. In such a world, being a Pokemon trainer is the most dangerous profession. In spite of so much risk to his life, Aoki had decided to become a Pokemon trainer. Unlike the reincarnation stories with a golden finger-like system, he didn't have such a thing, but he was blessed with different things. Aoki was very talented in making strategies and had a power called energy sensitivity, which let him detect the energy level of a Pokemon. This ability was inherited from his father and is rare, but not as rare as aura or psychic powers. Becoming a good trainer was not easy, so Aoki had to make a lot of preparations beforehand not to mess things up later on. Aoki studied very hard to acquire as much knowledge as possible before starting as a trainer. He already knew a lot of things from his previous life regarding both academics and Pokemons. He trained his body every day and prepared for the journey to become a Pokemon trainer. The place he was going to was the lab of Professor Oak to receive his very first Pokémon. He could have gotten a strong wild Pokémon if he asked his parents, but he wanted to start from scratch, and what was better than getting your starter from the most famous professor himself. The lab of Professor Oak was on the outskirts of the beautiful pallet town surrounded by a dense forest. His lab was also one of the areas where the most variety of Pokémon can be found in the entire region. But no one dared to trespass his territory because of the high-level security and Professor Oak's own Pokémons that are rumored to have the entire area under his observation. Aoki's house was in a town near the pallet called Orange Town, which was closer to the coast. He only came to Pallet Town 4 to 5 times, so he doesn't know if Ash exists, but he knows that Professor Oak has 2 grandchildren and one of them is Gary. Although his house was in a remote town, his parents were rich. In spite of that, they ensured that Aoki was not spoiled. His parents ran a large restaurant that was the main attraction of Orange Town. They had 3 more restaurants in different cities and one in Saffron City, which generated enough funds for him to spend his childhood in luxury. Orange Town had roads directly to Pallet Town, Bridgeford Town where the Pokemon School was, and finally Vividian City. The reason they were staying in Orange Town was due to having a peaceful environment among nature. His parents wanted him to succeed in their business but respected Aoki's wish to be a trainer. After he had made enough name for himself, Aoki planned to open more branches of the restaurant in main cities in the future. Now for the matter of his starter Pokemon. The 3 royal starters, namely Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charmander, were specially reserved for people selected by Professor Oak. Aoki was sure that 2 of them were for his grandson and daughter that would start their journey with him, or trainers from the special families related to the League Alliance. A person cannot own a Pokemon legally, own multiple Pokemon without having any proper license or registration. So money and influence are big factors. The easiest method to get a standard license to become a Pokemon trainer is to attend a Pokemon school till the age of 15 owned by the League Alliance, or take up courses that give out trainer licenses. While high levels of technology existed, the internet was not so developed yet. After going through a lot of books and old newspapers, Aoki found some interesting things. Trainer Red and Blue existed. They belonged to the generation of his father. Blue was the only Pokemon League champion in the history of Kanto to be dethroned under a month by Red. At that time Pokemon League was different from the current one, as there was only the match with the Elite Four to become the champion. Red's Charizard and Blue's Blastoise were pretty famous during that time. From then various rules were changed to make sure that incident doesn't happen again. Blue had disappeared after getting dethroned, while Red resigned from the throne of champion after a while and disappeared too. No news of them was heard after that. Aoki found it a bit suspicious, but as the incident took place around 18 years ago, every record of them was almost gone. Aoki was going to Professor Oak for another reason, that was to get his Pokédex. Pokédex's first prototype was developed around the time Red was around, and it has come a long way since then. 10 Pokédex were given out by the professor each year, with one being given the top ranker in the Pokemon School, which Aoki had scored for himself. One benefit of passing from the Pokemon School was free space to keep Pokemon that are not in use or get a starter free of cost. There were certain organizations or places like the Pokemon Center where a trainer's Pokemon are kept, and for Aoki, it would be Professor Oak's sanctuary, as the Pokemon school he went to was funded by Professor Oak. The rate of passing from a Pokemon school was around 10% per year due to the level of difficulty of the course. This rate of passing was a good thing, as the news of death in the wild due to reckless was very common. Although Aoki won't receive a royal starter, he was not demotivated. He believed that there are no bad Pokemon but bad trainers. He was confident in his skills to raise any Pokemon to the top level. Although the potential of Pokemon existed, like the personality and talent of different people, that could be compensated by investing proper resources in raising a Pokemon. The strength of the Pokemon was classified into various levels, which were Junior, Lev 0 to 20. Intermediate, Lev 20 to 40. Master, Lev 40 to 60. Elite, Lev 60 to 80. Champion, Lev 80 to 100. Beyond Champion, Lev greater than 100. The life expectancy of a Pokemon also depends on their strength and species. In this world, humans were physically stronger than on Earth and had a longer average life expectancy, which was more than 100 years. Most Pokemon can reach their final evolution before getting to elite rank. This year 20 people were starting as trainers from this area, each of them being given a specific time for picking up a starter. Fortunately, Aoki received the first chance to pick a starter. Like humans, potential existed in Pokemon too. The royal starters belonged to high potential, while the Pokemon generally found in the wild were of lowest potential. The starter he would be getting would be of the lowest to medium tier. Aoki has discussed with his parents that he would start his journey immediately after getting his Pokemon. On his back, he carried a spatial bag made by Silphco which his parents gifted him for starting his journey. This bag had the capacity to hold a large number of things which currently had his cooking and camping kit. Aoki reached the lab after walking for an hour as it was on the outskirts of Pallet Town. The outside of the lab had a beautiful garden where a group of Butterfree could be seen playing around. The building was large with many windmills attached to its structures which were rotating slowly. Aoki entered the lab and was amazed by the interior design. He looked ahead and found the reception area. "Excuse me. I am here to get my starter," Aoki said to the man at the reception, handing him his trainer ID. The receptionist checked the ID and called for a woman wearing a lab coat. She woman asked Aoki to follow her to the designated area. Aoki moved through various rooms and came across a large number of equipment and people working on various things. In one place, a lot of Pokemon eggs were being checked thoroughly, while somewhere a group of baby Pokemon were being fed. In one room he saw a man teaching a lone Pidgey to fly. "Some Pidgeys that cannot fly on their own are abandoned by their pack, so we take the responsibility to teach them how to fly so that they don't die in the wild," the woman who was guiding Aoki said. After walking for a while, they entered a room that had a shelf filled with Pokeballs. Each Pokeball had a label that described the name and age of the Pokemon. "Choose one from them, remember that you can only choose once," said the woman, scanning Aoki's behavior. Aoki nodded and started looking for his starter that would be his companion. The Pokemon mainly available were Pidgey, Spearow, Weedle, Kakuna, Caterpie, Piku, Oddish, Bellsprout, Marill, Sandshrew, and Mankey. "Let's see. I can get a Pidgey in Route 1, Weedle line, and Caterpie line would give a major boost in the short run but fall short in the long run. Piku is very weak and would take some time to evolve into Pikachu and be useful. In its final evolution, Raichu can be very strong if trained properly. Sandshrew and Mankey are good options, but I prefer Pokemons with 3 evolution stages more. That leaves me with Oddish and Bellsprout." Aoki thought. "Take as much time you want, this is a major decision that you must take," the woman said, seeing Aoki in dilemma. She had seen trainers make a choice hastily and later come crying to change their starter. "I have decided. I will choose Bellsprout." Chapter 3, Bellsprout. January. Professor Oak's lab. Currently, Bellsprout was the best option for him. It had dual typing of grass and poison. Grass-type Pokemon were the best for restraining the first 2 gyms of Kanto and moreover very friendly in general. Aoki always preferred Pokemon that had a total of 3 evolution stages. He looked through the Pokeballs of Bellsprouts to determine the best one for him. Finally, he picked the one that was a month old. "Good choice, the age of Bellsprout is less too, so he will bond with you very quickly if you treat him right," the woman said as Aoki was asked to follow her. After taking the Pokeball he walked towards another room where there was an old man sitting and going through some notes. The old man had white hair and wore a lab coat similar to the woman. That was Professor Samuel Oak, the most famous person in the entire Kanto region. There was hardly any person in the entire Kanto region who was not aware of his name. This man radiated a wave of confidence and pride that was different from every person Aoki had seen so far. "Good morning, Professor Oak," greeted Aoki. "Good morning, young man." Professor Oak put down his notes and looked at the document of Aoki. "You must be Aoki, right? I have heard about you a lot from the Pokemon school," he said. "Excited to start your journey?" asked Oak as he took out a red device from a box. "Yes, sir." Oak laughed and handed him the Pokédex. This device held the capacity to show the details of a wild Pokemon and more details after catching it. This can also act as an ID for him. This device can have a built-in GPS and camera too. Overall a must-needed device for the journey. This was like a modern-day mobile phone except for the feature of video calling. One by one Oak showed all the features of the Pokédex to Aoki and told him that he would be informed about the future updates that would be made to the Pokédex. "Although you can carry more than 6 Pokemons, I will advise you not to because they need to be fed and taken care of regularly, which could be very stressful. It's better to register the Pokemons you catch to avoid legal issues." "Thank you for the advice, Professor." Oak handed him 10 Pokeballs and gave him some encouraging words. "Good luck on your journey, child." Bidding farewell to him, Aoki exited the lab and opened his Pokédex and feed his data, and linked his bank account to it. Trainer profile. Name, Aoki Gunhilder. Age -16. License type standard/junior trainer. Badges 0. He pressed a button and entered a code. Total balance, 30k poke dollars. Aoki didn't want to use his parents' money and wanted to start from scratch, but they still gave him around 30k poke dollars to start his journey. Aoki was good with handling money, so he had saved up around 400k from his pocket money and competitions he won with his parents' Pokemon. Pokemon trainer is a very profitable profession if done correctly. Along with his trust on his skills on Pokemon training, he knew various sources to acquire money from. So there was no need for him to ask his parents for extra money. The authority of a trainer was divided into 3 classes, which were Standard Trainer, Master Trainer, and Elite Trainer. Trainers who only have junior or intermediate level Pokemon are called Standard Trainers, trainers who have at least 3 Master level Pokemon are called Master Trainers, and finally, trainers with Elite or above level Pokemons are called Elite Trainers. The amount of freedom or authority a trainer has depends on their rank. The total number of Elite Trainers plays a major role in the reputation of a region. As Aoki left the lab, an Alakazam appeared beside Professor Oak. I had heard about him from the school, but now that I see him in front of me, I feel like I have seen this kid before, Oak said. Did you forget? You saw him in the popular restaurant you often make your employees bring food from. Even last night's dinner was from his restaurant. Aha, my memory has gotten weaker. So, what do you think of him? Asked Oak. He has a strong natural presence like that kid Lance and Red, that presence of domination. He has deep love for Pokemon, although he didn't show it on his face. He was brimming with excitement after holding the Pokeball of Bellsprout. Anything else? He has immense respect for you too, said Alakazam. And yes, hide your granddaughter from him or he will be becoming your grandson-in-law too. Haha, Youth Oak laughed. Asterisk. Outside the lab of Professor Oak, Aoki unhooked the Pokeball from his belt and called out his Pokemon. With a flash of light, a plant-like Pokemon named Bellsprout stood in front of him and looked around curiously. Bell the Pokemon made a cute sound and looked towards Aoki. Grass-type Pokemon could sense a person's happiness and he could tell how happy Aoki was seeing him. Hello Bellsprout. I am Aoki, from today onwards we are partners. I promise that I will make you reach the top, you just have to trust me, he said, petting his small head. Please take care of me, said Bellsprout, but Aoki only heard a cute sound. Grass-type Pokemon were famous for being friendly, so seeing the good intention and affection from his new trainer Bellsprout warmed up to him. Aoki picked up Bellsprout and put him over his head and started walking. We shall begin your training once we reach near the wild area. It is better if we start early. Bellsprout made a sound of agreement. In the lab, he had often seen beautiful and strong Victreebel, so he wanted to become one too. On the way to Route 1, he checked the profile of his new partner with the Pokédex. Name, Bellsprout. Type, Grass/Poison. Species, Flower Pokemon. Gender, Male. Ability, Chlorophyll, enhances speed under sunlight. Stage, Junior. Moves, Vine Whip, Growth, Wrap, Sleep Powder, Poison Powder, Sweet Scent. Pokédex entry, a carnivorous Pokemon that traps and eats bugs. It appears to use its root feet to replenish moisture. Seeing the number of moves his partner knew, Aoki was very happy. You are great Bellsprout, you know so many moves, he complimented, which made Bellsprout release another cute sound. After fidgeting with the Pokédex for 5 minutes, Aoki found that he could add custom move names to the list of moves the Pokemon knew. There was another section to add a custom Pokemon profile. Although the Pokédex was made by Oak, he could not check the data unless Aoki allows him to do that too, so the level of privacy was very satisfactory. The Pokédex had come a long way since it was invented. Aoki had no idea in which type of timeline he was in, but if he was in the timeline of the anime, he would try to get Ash's Charmander or Squirtle to his team. The moment Aoki chose Bellsprout, he already had prepared an ideal team in his mind. Chapter 4, Join Me. Route 1, which connected Pallet Town and Vividian City, was around 8 kilometers, was called the Road of Starting as many people started their journey from this route. The main road had very little to no Pokemon. They could be found more in number if a person goes deeper into the wild area. Aoki reached that area after walking for a few minutes. On the way he kept talking to Bellsprout about his training plans and sharing more of his stories. After reaching Route 1, he asked Bellsprout to show all of his moves to learn his level of mastery. He wrote down the step-by-step training plan and showed it to Bellsprout. He started training Bellsprout in the mastery of Growth, Vine Whip, and Speed Powder, along with learning of Razor Leaf. For the mastery of Vine Whip and Growth, he asked him to hit a tree in a specific pattern while maintaining the blessings from growth with his root-like legs. He wanted Bellsprout to maintain the attack and special attack boost from Bellsprout all the time. The training was incredibly hard for a Pokémon who just started his journey with a trainer, but seeing Aoki's determined eyes to make him stronger, Bellsprout gave his best. There is still time before he evolves into Weepin' Bell. Before that, Aoki wants his Bellsprout to master grass and poison-type energy as much as he can. Aoki took some food from his bag and fed it to Bellsprout. Bellsprout was astounded by the taste of the food that Aoki fed him. "You liked it, right? If you train hard I will give you plenty of food like this," said Aoki. The training went on for a few hours before it was time for lunch. Aoki took out his tent and cooking kit and started making lunch for both of him. While he was cooking, he heard footsteps and looked back. What he saw was a beautiful orange-haired girl approaching his camp. "Excuse me, can I sit here for a while?" Sure, I will be glad if a beautiful girl sat near me." "Oh, we have a smooth talker here." Aoki knew the girl very well, Misty Williams. She was one part of the main cast of Pokémon and the childhood crush of millions of Pokémon fans across the world. "I was cooking lunch for myself and my Pokémon, would you like to have some too? Are you okay with that?" asked Misty. "There wouldn't be any problem." "So miss, going by the things you are carrying, you are here for fishing?" asked Aoki while keeping the food he made on a bowl for Bellsprout. His eyes subconsciously went towards Misty. Aoki was the most handsome guy Misty had seen, getting stared at by him made her very happy. "Call me Misty, I am from Cerulean City. And yes, I came to catch a water Pokémon in this area." Misty's focus was immediately attracted by the fragrance the food of Aoki was releasing. "I am Aoki, I started my journey today with my partner Bellsprout," he said while giving a plate to Misty too. Based on her reaction to the food, she was hungry too. "Are you perhaps Aoki Gunhilder?" asked Misty. "Do you know me?" asked Aoki. "So he is the one. Such a strong presence. Am I developing a crush?" thought Misty. "It's my first time meeting you, but I heard that you got first rank in the Pokémon Academy. You attended the same academy too? I never saw you there." "No, I was homeschooled, I heard that from my friends that attended the school. I too started my journey a few days ago with my starterster you," said Misty. "Of course, I know you, you had a separate fan club for yourself in the school. My friend talked every day about you," she thought. The more she ate, the more flabbergasting her face became. "Looks like the magic of my food worked." Although Aoki was not born with any cheats system, he was insanely talented in almost everything, especially cooking, which he sharpened even more over the years. Along with the recipes that his parents made, he added some from his previous life and created some original dishes that would make anyone his fan. "Now if I look carefully, she truly is one of the cutest girls I have seen in my life," thought Aoki after looking at Misty. Misty wore a yellow sleeveless shirt along with jeans that reached her knees. Her short orange hair was tied to one side. "Say Misty, since we both are starting together, why not stick together for a while? This way we can have each other's back in the wild. Moreover, I studied about Pokémon grooming so I can help your Pokémon too." Misty's mind was a mess because of his killer smile and the taste of the food she was eating, which made her agree to travel with Aoki without thinking much. "I was planning to travel alone, but sticking with him for a while would be wonderful. Moreover, I have never eaten something so good before. It took all my willpower to suppress my urge to yell in delight. And he is so handsome. Ahem, control your urges, Misty, don't get turned on, now is not the time. I have decided I will accompany you for a while and return to the gym after I become strong enough," she thought. "My friend never told me he cooks so well," Misty said. "I never really cooked in school or shared my lunch, so maybe that's why she doesn't know," Aoki said. Both of them started having a conversation. "Aoki, are you single?" Misty asked after a short pause. "Yes, why are you asking? You interested, or something?" Aoki asked with a smile. "Well, it's about time I get a girlfriend," he thought. No, just asking." Misty blushed as she realized what she asked. Chapter 5, First Official Battle. Author note: the world is a mixture of anime, games, and manga, along with a lot of things that I decided to add. Due to this, the behavior and nature of people may change. Samuel Oak, Time of the Year. It is that time of the year when the heat of excitement from Pokémon League calms down and the flame of youth starts burning brightly. This is the time of the year when most of the new trainers start their journey towards their dreams and goals. Seeing young saplings excited to spread their roots fills me with joy and excitement. I can't help but remember my youth when I see trainers excited to get their new Pokémons. That day is still vivid in my memory of when I received my first starter Pokémon filled with dreams and ambition. I trained, traveled, and did the things I liked, and before I realized I was standing at the peak of the world as the most renowned researcher. I thank God for all the opportunities that I was given, for all the people I met, and for my big family. This year was a good occasion as 3 young people I was quite familiar with were starting their journey. My grandchildren Gary, Green, and the son of the person who was most helpful to me, Ash. I pray that all the trainers who started their journey satisfaction with the journey that they started and have no regrets. January. Route 1. Aoki shared his plan of training for today and going towards Vividian City tomorrow. She had no problem with that as she wanted to have some training done too. Misty and Aoki had their own training methods, so they will be training away from each other. There were some secrets and techniques that each of them didn't want the other to see. After lunch, Aoki started the training of Bellsprout in mastering the moves of Sleep Powder and Sweet Scent while maintaining the blessing from growth. This will not only help him in mastering his grass-type energy but also help in one of his objectives of creating a combination of moves made of Sweet Scent and Sleep Power. This exercise may be tiring, but Aoki promised tasty food to Bellsprout after he was done with his training. After eating the food made by Aoki, Bellsprout too became a fan and could not wait to eat more of it. In the first 2 hours, Bellsprout could not do anything in succession but for delicious food. He pushed his body to the limit to do as Aoki was asking and made some progress. As a reward, Aoki gave him tasty food and a short break to replenish his energy. As Bellsprout was a life form similar to a plant, Aoki made him drink a bottle of water and stand under the direct sunlight to regenerate his stamina faster. This was one of the tricks Aoki found out while doing some experiments with wild Pokémons during his childhood. The study of the bodies of Pokémon was the most interesting thing to Aoki during his childhood, making him pick up many things that would be putting him a step ahead of others. The moment Aoki picked Bellsprout, he already had an ideal team in mind along with their location and the best method to train them. Even if he comes across some rare Pokémon to add to his team on the way, he would absolutely catch some Pokémons that he had in mind. After that short break, Aoki started training Bellsprout and following his commands. In a match, the cooperation between a Pokémon and a trainer is very important. Following commands was one of the things that made trained Pokémon different from wild Pokémon. Aoki talked with Bellsprout a lot, not letting him get bored from training. He told stories about grass Pokémon from his childhood that Bellsprout found very interesting. It was very amusing to see that Aoki did not understand anything Bellsprout tried to say, but Bellsprout understood everything Aoki said. This was one of the phenomena Aoki found very amusing. They trained together till it was nightfall and returned to the camp. The reason that he could train for so long without interference was that there were hardly any wild Pokémon in the area he was currently training, as it was near the road. "Good job, buddy," said Aoki, rubbing his head. Bellsprout could feel the difference in power after training for the day. Misty was gone to try her luck in getting a water Pokémon from the nearby stream but didn't get anything. "What are you specifically searching for?" asked Aoki. "I heard that there are Goldines present in this area but I couldn't find one yet," she said with a disappointed face. "Even all the baits I brought were used up by Magikarps. Don't worry, I will help you tomorrow to fish for a Goldine. I know how to make good fish baits." "Thank you." A smile bloomed on her face. When it was finally time for dinner, Aoki could see that Misty and Bellsprout were giving him puppy eyes to prepare dinner quickly. He laughed and handed everyone their plate. Misty blushed because of her behavior. "Don't be ashamed, ask for more if you want," said Aoki. "Yes, please." "Hey! Mystery, why don't we have a battle? I want to see the result of my partner's training." "This is your first Pokémon battle, right?" "Yes, this is the first Pokémon battle I am having with my own Pokémon. Not to brag, but I have a pretty good battle experience fighting with my father's Pokémon." "Let's see then how you fight with a Pokémon that you just started to train then." Misty agreed and called out Hersteryu. Although her Pokémon was at a disadvantage due to the typing, the roles could be reversed if Hersteryu knew confusion. The health of Hersteryu could be detected by the shine on its gem, and Hersteryu seemed very healthy. "Shall we make it an official battle?" she asked to take out a device from her backpack. Aoki opened his Pokédex and saw a notification. The device Misty used was similar to a mobile phone, called a device which can be used for communication, taking photos, and setting up battles. Pokédex had all those features with extra features like GPS, browsing the internet, news stations, etc., along with detailed data with every Pokémon Aoki catches or vague data on the Pokémon he scans. Misty Williams would like to challenge you to a battle. Bet, 100 poke dollars. Accept/decline. Aoki accepted and called out his Pokemon. Let's show the result of our training, Bellsprout. Bell cheered Bellsprout as he looked towards his opponent. Aoki turned on the camera on his Pokédex while she did the same on her mobile device to record the battle for the bet. His calm and playful demeanor was instantly lost and got replaced with a stoic serious face. Misty saw this and decided to make the first move. Staryu to attack with water gun. A stream of water was shot towards Bellsprout from the diamond on Staryu's face. Dodge and use sweet scent. Bellsprout was enveloped in a green glow and started releasing sweet scent from his mouth. The green glow was the use of the moving growth that he was previously commanded to use at the beginning of every match. Bellsprout successfully dodged the wave of water gun and spread sweet scent all around. The smell will make the opponent's Pokemon slower and lower the ability to dodge. Run towards Staryu and use Vine Whip. The root-like legs of Bellsprout enraged as he charged towards Staryu. Misty commanded her Pokemon to use Harden to increase its defense, but she severely underestimated the power behind the Vine Whip. Staryu was severely injured after getting hit by a Vine Whip and cried out in pain. Misty panicked and commanded to use Rapid Spin to get away from him while using a water gun. While this was happening, Staryu misfired his water gun at Aoki, which he could not dodge in time and got wet. Sorry about it, Misty apologized. It's okay. Aoki removed his shirt and kept it near the fireplace to dry. Misty's eyes went towards the body of Aoki and her face started getting red. Damn, he is hot. Only a handful of people know about the hidden nature of Misty, that she is a huge pervert. Seeing Aoki's ABS on display, her inner perverted was coming out. Aoki from his experience could tell what Misty's expression meant. She is a pervert, he concluded. Impressed. Aoki teased. Shut up and focus on the battle. Misty returned her focus to the battle. Due to the damage, Staryu's speed had lessened. Bellsprout put force on his legs and tore through the water gun, and hit Staryu on his gem, crashing him into a tree. This made Staryu lose combat capability, making Bellsprout the winner. Aoki patted the head of Bellsprout and encouraged him and gave a portion to Misty to heal his Staryu. Her Staryu too was a junior Pokemon like his Bellsprout, so his injuries were healed with a potion as it was not too severe. Aoki checked the Pokédex and saw that 100 poke dollars had been transferred to his account. Although Misty was disappointed in losing to a newbie while she started training her Staryu, it also deepened her desire to follow Aoki on his journey. She took back her pride as the daughter of the Cerulean Gym leader and asked Aoki about her shortcomings. Aoki thought for a while and answered, your Staryu doesn't have enough control over his water energy. From what I have read, Staryu can shoot water from all over her body. You did not bother using moves like Confuse Ray and Minimize, which could increase its chance of winning. Misty listened carefully to what Aoki told her. Aoki could see that Misty was serious about improving, so he didn't mind helping her. Ha, I liked attacking moves more, seems like I need to make Staryu use more support. Moves too, said Misty with a smile. Misty, you are the daughter of the Cerulean Gym leader, right? Hearing this, an expression of surprise appeared on her face for a few seconds before turning to a gentle smile. Looks like I was found out. Was it the name in the battle pop-up? She asked. Along with that, your name and facial features matched with the Cerulean Gym leader I saw recently in the news, which announced his retirement. Yes, my father is retiring from his position of gym leader and handing it to my sisters. Misty said that she left her home to become a good trainer like her father and make her proud, or if possible become the successor of the gym. Currently, it was decided that her sisters would lead the gym when her father retired, which Misty didn't want to accept as she was not taken into consideration. Misty decided to travel and return after becoming a stronger trainer than her father. Her dream is to make the Cerulean Gym more famous and become one of the top trainers and reach the level of Elite Four. Aoki never expected that Misty would confess her story so easily, but it was for the best. What is your dream, Aoki? I dream to obtain everything in life and reach the height that none had ever reached before, Aoki said with a bit of exaggeration. Bellsprout listened and spread his arms, copying Aoki's posture. Misty gave a chuckle hearing Aoki's goal that was even greater than hers. Say, Misty, since we both have such large heights to climb, why don't we work together for a better future? He said, forwarding his hand. Misty shook his hand with a wide, captivating smile. Sure, let's work together. Chapter 6, A New Partner. Misty, a dream. Ever since I was a child, I was somewhat good at reading emotions. Every time I saw my father and mother, they appeared to be in pain. I realized that when I did something good or improved on something, they became happy. So I did everything in my power to make them happy. This continued, and before I knew it had become my dream to become one of the strongest water-type trainers and make my parents the proudest. When I reached a certain age, I realized why they seemed to be in pain. That aside, I had fair shares of problems in my life due to my reading emotions very well. I often used to fight with my sisters. Those fights never reached too far because I knew they loved me very much. They sometimes used to say pretty mean things but later made it up by giving me gifts, but those things made use to make me realize that there were things I was indeed doing wrong. Throughout my 17 years of life, I had made a lot of friends, but only a handful of them were genuine friends. Some of them looked at me like a piggy bank as used to buy them stuff, some of them wanted favors from my family, while some of them looked at me with greed and lust. I got proposed multiple times, but none of them were genuine out of love or likeness, but as a trophy to show others that they had a daughter of a gym leader as their partner. I used to get pretty lonely sometimes. Like the time a few weeks ago I started my journey alone while the people I knew started their journey together. But my worries seems to have disappeared when I met Aoki. He felt like bright sunshine guiding me towards a proper way. His feelings and expression were genuine towards me, and he was devilishly handsome like any other person I had ever seen. He was the first person that made my heart beat faster. It felt like I could finally come out of loneliness. I hope my journey with him goes well. Route 1. After Misty fell asleep, Aoki started meditating with Bellsprout. Close your eyes and follow my lead, take a deep breath. Bellsprout closed his eyes and started following Aoki's commands. Imagine yourself in a dark place where the only source of light is a ball of energy that is very far from you. You take a deep breath and start taking slow steps toward the source of energy. On the way you feel that the rays from the source of energy brush past your body, filling it with strength. You absorb that energy and start moving towards the source of energy slowly. That source of energy is the main energy of your body that you have to get under your control. Aoki stopped speaking as he looked beside him and saw Bellsprout had fallen asleep while meditating. Good night, buddy. Aoki smiled and patted the head of Bellsprout and called him to his pokeball. After having a good sleep, they continued their journey towards Vividian City. There were two routes that connected Vividian City from the place they were currently. First, that connects Vividian City to Pallet Town, and the second was the road coming from Orange Town. The second road had a town named Bridgeford Town, which had the famous Pokemon school funded by Professor Oak. These two roads are mainly used by people as they are relatively free from wild Pokemon. The only wild Pokemon that can be found here are very weak Pidgey, Rattata, or Oddish, who generally steal food from people and nothing else. There are other small roads, but those are only used by people if they can handle the risk of coming across wild Pokemons. Today Aoki decided to train Bellsprout near the river bank, as he promised that he shall help her catch a Goldeen. The path they were taking was one of the roads that had wild Pokemons. He instructed Bellsprout on the way to unlocking the Razor Leaf and using his arms to his advantage. Razor Leaf was using grass-type energy projected to shoot projectiles. Bellsprout had to do it while maintaining the blessing of growth and releasing sleeping power from his mouth. As they walked further into the roads, wild Pokemon started appearing in their way. Well, Misty had a bicycle in her bag, but it was not necessary right now. Aoki wanted to catch a Pidgey, so he made Bellsprout fight every Pidgey he saw along the route. This was a good experience for Bellsprout to fight against a type that is strong against him. Aoki had a stick and some sprays to stun the wild Pokemons for a few seconds if things go wrong during the battle. As Bellsprout was weak, he only made him fight lone Pidgeys or the ones in a small flock. Finally, after fighting around 15 Pidgey and looking around 50 wild Pidgeys, he found the one he wanted. This Pidgey was almost twice the size of a normal, but that was not the main reason. The main reason was that this Pidgey had a keen eyes character trait. Since he was a child, he ventured into the wild a lot, so he knew how to identify different character traits of weak wild Pokemons like Pidgey, etc. First, his parents scolded him a lot as he used to come back with various injuries in spite of a strong Pokemon with him, but they stopped after a while. Maybe that is why his parents knew that he had no interest to continue their business and follow his own path. The only reason he could find good among the large variety of Pidgey was that Pidgey was not so aggressive species, so he could use some attacks at them and they would mostly run away instead of fighting back or attacking with a large pack. He didn't injure this Pidgey too much and asked Bellsprout to defeat him with sleep powder after tiring it out. He took out a Pokeball from his belt and threw it towards the sleeping Pidgey, which got caught without much problem. Misty was first confused about why Aoki caught this one especially, so he gave her a rundown about Pokemon nature in short. Aoki took out his Pokédex and scanned his new partner. To scan a Pokemon from a Pokeball, the ball had to make contact with the Pokédex. Name, Pidgey. Type, normal/flying. Species, tiny bird Pokemon. Gender, Female. Ability, Keen Eyes, immune to attacks that lower accuracy. Stage, Junior. Moves, Tackle, Sand Attack, Gust, Quick Attack, Tailwind. Pokédex entry, Pidgey has an extremely sharp sense of direction. It is capable of unerringly returning home to its nest, however far it may be removed from its familiar surroundings. Seeing the move Tailwind, his eyes lit up. Tailwind was a stats increasing move like Growth. Unlike Growth, which increases attack and SP attack, Tailwind increases speed. From his research on the species of Pidgey, the move like Tailwind is pretty rare for it to learn naturally this early, so most probably it was an egg move. There are certain movements that a Pokémon is born with the knowledge of, called egg moves. Although on paper the ability of Keen Eyes makes the Pokémon immune to accuracy lowering moves like Sand Attack, but this ability can also increase the accuracy of the Pokémon. Due to the rarity of keen-eyed nature, Pidgey didn't have any hope of getting one and had decided to get one that seemed the strongest, but he didn't expect to get so lucky. Aoki looked towards Misty and said, "Thanks for being with me, Misty, you are like a lucky charm. I hit a jackpot with this Pidgey. As thanks, I will make a special dish for you today." Hearing this, Misty became excited. She ignored the first part and focused on the second part. She already had become a fan of Aoki's cooking after eating for the first time, and hearing about getting a special dish to eat, her excitement knew no bounds. Aoki, seeing her reaction, thought sure enough, the path to reach a girl's heart is through her stomach. Misty was fun to be around and very open about her opinions. On the way, they talked more and got to know each other better. Usually, girls would lash out at him if he asked their age, but Misty surprisingly revealed her age, which was 17. She was a year older than him. Although the minimum age required to start the profession as a Pokémon trainer was 15, people generally started when they turned 17 or 18. They kept on their journey and discussed various things. Misty kept telling him how much she loved water Pokémon and about some of the Pokémons in her gyms. She said that she wishes to take over the gym when she trains her own Pokémon to the elite level rather than using the ones that are present in the gym. Although training an elite level Pokémon seems very far-fetched, who knows what the future holds. Aoki was never a fan of single-type teams like Misty, so he wished to train a team with different types of Pokémon. "This spot seems good," said Misty, standing near the back of a stream. Aoki agreed with her and began setting up his camp. He asked Bellsprout to prepare sleep powder as he released Pidgey from his Pokeball. Surprisingly, Pidgey didn't attack Aoki but looked at him with curious eyes. This made Aoki relieved. Catching a Pokemon in a ball doesn't make it obedient, so seeing Pidgey's revoltless attitude was a relief in itself. "From today onwards we are partners, Pidgey. If you follow me obediently, I will provide you with plenty of tasty food and help you become a majestic Pidgeot," said Aoki, presenting Pidgey with his exclusive diet. As soon as Pidgey took the first bite, all hesitation disappeared as she cooed in delight. Aoki had a strange presence around him that made Pidgey very comfortable and safe. He sure loves Pokemon. Through Misty, who watched Aoki petting his new Pokemon. "Wait for me, Gyarados, I will make you acknowledge me," she thought to herself as he clenched the Pokeball of Staryu. Chapter 7, Beautiful. Route 1. Due to it being the month of January, the environment was cool in spite of the sun shining brightly. Aoki tasked Bellsprout with talking and getting familiar with his new friend while he started preparing food for everyone. "Pidgey, can you tell me more about my new trainer?" Bellsprout: "Sure. I have only spent 2 days with him, but he treated me very well. The food he makes is extraordinary." "Pidgey, let's see if what you said is correct or not." Bellsprout: "Can you tell me about your life till now?" Pidgey: "Sure, but you have to tell yours first." Bellsprout: "From my oldest memory, I was born in the wild and got captured by a Spearow as food. There was a kind person that saved me and took me into his house. There were a lot of Pokemon like me, but some were scary, so I never went near them. The kind person fed me and took care of me. From him, I heard about trainers. At first, I was scared of meeting my new trainer, but after I met him I could sense that he was a good person." Pidgey: "Life was comfortable after I was born as the daughter of the pack leader, but a few days later my parents lost the territorial war and got killed. After that my pack dispersed and I was left alone." Bellsprout: "It's odd how we would try to kill each other in the wild, but we are talking as friends now." Pidgey: "It feels good now." Although Aoki didn't understand what his Pokemon were talking about from their gesture, they seemed happy. He could not understand their words accurately, but seeing their gesture, it was not so hard to decipher the meaning. Aoki always preferred grass-type Pokémons as starters due to how friendly they were. People getting attacked by wild grass Pokémon is very rare to see. If given the chance to pick a starter from the Kanto Royal Trio, he would choose Bulbasaur no doubt. Aoki made some fish bait by mixing Bellsprout's sweet scent and handed them to Misty. The stream near this area was not so deep, so only Pokémons like Magikarp and Goldeen can be found or seeking if insanely lucky. Pidgey's attention was attracted by the smell of the food Aoki was preparing and her mouth started watering. She flew and sat on Aoki's head. Aoki took out a berry from his bag and asked Pidgey to bring some more of these berries from the wild if he wanted to have some extra of the food he was making. Pidgey took the berry happily and flew towards the wild to find some more similar berries. The berry he tasked Pidgey to bring was a common berry, so she should not take much time. In the meantime, Bellsprout started training razor leaves and combining sweet scenes with sleep powder. Due to the sun being overhead, his training was less taxing than training at night. Aoki decided to buy the trademark of Sunny Day for Bellsprout when he reaches Vividian City. His life would be a bit difficult without the large amount of money he always had, but he purposely started with a low balance to challenge himself and to see how far could he go without external help. He could always go back to his parents to ask for money if he could not do it. Pidgey returned after a while with the berries which Aoki added as the last ingredient in his dish and gave everyone. "Delicious! How can you make something so good?" yelled Misty as he asked for another serving. She had never eaten something so delicious before. His new partner Pidgey now decided to work extra hard to eat more of this food. "Pidgey, so nice. Bellsprout, proudly didn't I tell you, his food is the best. Did you create this dish?" Misty asked. "Yes, the dish you are eating is my original dish. Initially, my parents wanted me to run the restaurant, but I refused and joined the Pokémon school to become a trainer, but I didn't stop learning cooking from them and creating new recipes," said Aoki to Misty. "You are a born chef," Aoki praised Misty. After eating, Aoki took out a book of handwritten notes which showed a training plan for Pidgey. This was made after a lot of research by him, as he always planned to raise a Pidgey. According to the book, he tasked Pidgey to fly in a specific pattern while maintaining the blessing of tailwinds. This training was extremely hard as it utilized full concentration and control of flying type energy. This training was specifically to increase her maneuver and flying speed. The Pidgey line was known for its speed, so Aoki wanted to increase her speed past her limits. After tasking Aoki's dish, Pidgey was ready to train till she tired herself. After the difficult training that Pidgey somehow completed, Aoki complimented and encouraged her and gave her some delicious treats while she rested. Aoki took the extra fishing rod which Misty brought and sat beside her. Aoki was a complete noob in case of fishing, which Misty could point out at one glance, but she appreciated the gesture. Due to the new bait, they got many Magikarps which they released back. Aoki had plans to raise a Magikarp, but it would be quite hard to raise one from a weak Magikarp, so he planned to catch a Gyarados in the future or raise a Squirtle if he came across one. Talking about Magikarps. Only 10% of the total population had potential, while less than 1% managed to evolve into Gyarados. This trend is shown by almost all wild Pokémon which need a lot of energy to evolve, in which Magikarp takes the top spot. A water Pokémon was not in his immediate needs, so he was not worried about it. After sitting for 2 hours, Misty's fishing hook got a pull, but the pull was so hard that she was almost dragged into the water. It was Aoki who pulled her back and saved them from falling. Misty pulled hard and finally, a Goldeen was uncovered who took her bait. Staryu, who was training, immediately attacked Goldeen with rapid spin. Aoki didn't interfere and watched from a distance. Goldeen got hit hard and used Supersonic, which confused Staryu and attacked with Peck. Staryu was not able to reach due to confusion and got hit. The pain he suffered brought him out of his confusion. As Misty commanded, he hit the Goldeen hard with a tackle and sent it in the air. Goldeen attacked with Water Pulse, but Staryu cut through the Water Pulse with rapid spin, hitting it, which made Goldeen crash to the ground. Misty took out a Pokeball and threw it at the Goldeen. 1 shake. 2 shake. 3rd shake. Ting! Yay, I got Goldeen! Thank you, Staryu, Misty said happily while Staryu made a posture as if wanted to say welcome. She is in a hell of a ride if she wants to train a Goldeen while traveling, thought Aoki. They packed their things and started their journey towards Vividian City. If the weather was fine, they would reach Vividian City by the night, but their luck seemed to run out as the sky darkened. They entered the forest and built their camp among the shed of the trees as the downpour started. Misty with Staryu dug a hole and filled it with water and released Goldeen. Goldeen tried to attack, but seeing Staryu, he stopped. As Misty started to bond with Goldeen, Aoki was busy thinking about something. Seeing the weather, he remembered the first episode of the anime. There is a chance that they will get to see Ash and the legendary Ho-Oh. As time went on, the rain increased with occasional lightning strikes. Based on Misty's reaction, she doesn't like it very much. They have to reinforce their tents so that it doesn't fly off. Every trainer school had a mandatory camping and survival course, so Aoki and Misty both knew quite a lot about camping. Pidgey and Bellsprout were sitting near Aoki with their eyes closed as Aoki gave them a mental exercise. It was known that only psychic Pokemon can learn Calm Mind, but Aoki, based on the move Calm Mind, created a breathing and meditation exercise for his Pokemon. This technique was created from the various breathing techniques he came across from his previous world, which seemed to have more effect in this world. He didn't share this with Misty yet and didn't plan to do it soon, as this was his trump card. This method can make Pokemon get better, utilize their energy, and reduce fatigue. If they get enough mastery, it can also empower their moves too. He was so sure of it working because he tested it on his parents' Pokemon. Although his parents were not standard Pokemon's trainers like him, they had strong Pokemons that he grew up with. He had tested this method with them, which had shown major improvement in their battle techniques. His father had a Vileplume, Parasect, Flareon, Arcanine, and a Fearow, while his mother had a Vaporeon, Butterfree, and a Beedrill, Scyther, and a Pidgeotto. Among them, the Beedrill was shiny. His mother told that she was chased down the entire Vividian Forest for catching that Pokemon by the Beedrill community. Shiny Pokemon are very rare and sell for a lot, so not to attract unwanted attention, his mother only took out Beedrill when it was only 3 of them around. As his parents focused on their business more, Aoki spent most of his childhood playing with his parents' Pokemons. The wild Pokemons present near his house were very weak, so he often conducted mock battles among his parents' Pokemons while allowing him to make a new combination of moves and come up with proper training methods. Whenever he ventured deep into the wild, Arcanine would always be with him, along with either Scyther or Vileplume. Among all the Pokemons his parents had, his friendship with Arcanine was the deepest. He would often fall asleep on Arcanine's soft fur. Most of the Pokemon food he created himself was first tested by Arcanine, so in a way, Arcanine had a huge involvement in his cooking skills. Those were some happy days. Arcanine was pretty sad when Aoki left, but Aoki wanted a fresh start, so he didn't bring him along. Back to the current time. It was during nightfall that the weather cleared. Unfortunately, Aoki didn't see Ash, as there was no lightning falling around this area or a group of sparrows chasing a boy with a Pikachu. Aoki too had come across sparrows but didn't attack one, as they always traveled in groups like drill, and provoking them like an idiot was the last thing he wanted to do. With a disappointed face, he looked into the sky, but his mouth opened wide. "Misty, quickly comes out of your tent, you need to see this," shouted Aoki. Hearing this, Misty opened her tent and looked upwards and had the same reaction as Aoki. A golden bird illuminated the night sky as it flew. Every time the bird flapped its wings, golden glitters showered. It felt like the entire nature went quiet and looked at the beautiful bird. Aoki felt like the world froze for him, with the only thing moving was the golden bird in the sky. Both of them had never seen something beautiful. The Pokédex in Aoki's pocket rang out. "Information insufficient, Pokemon not identified." "Ho-Oh," softly muttered Aoki. "Beautiful, right? One day we shall reach beyond that sky," said Aoki to Pidgey and Bellsprout. "As long as you two believe in me and yourselves, together we can achieve anything." Bell. Pid cheered the two Pokemon cheerfully. Ho-Oh released a sweet cry and disappeared from their vision. Both Aoki and Misty felt tired all of a sudden, along with their Pokemon, as they started falling asleep. The last thing Aoki saw was a shower of golden glitter before falling asleep. Chapter 8, League Alliance. The next morning Aoki opened his eyes and found Bellsprout and Pidgey snuggling against his body. He gently placed them aside and started preparing breakfast wearing his apron. "Thank you, Ho-Oh, for your blessings," said Aoki with a smile, looking at the sky. Although he didn't get any rainbow wing, but seeing a legendary Pokemon was enough. "I think I need to teach Bellsprout to help me in cooking. As the size of the team will increase, it will take too much time for me to cook alone." Everyone's sleep was broken by the fragrance of breakfast and fresh air after the rain. "Good morning, Aoki. I don't know how I fell asleep last night, but I had a nice dream of seeing a golden bird," said Misty, rubbing her eyes. "That was not a dream, we really saw the legendary bird Ho-Oh." Hearing this, Misty immediately came out of her current state. "Ho-Oh? Are you serious?" "Yes, the same Ho-Oh. One of the legendary guardians of the Johto region. Take seeing her at the beginning of our journey as a good luck charm," said Aoki. "It was so beautiful, I have never seen something so beautiful before." I have only heard about that Pokemon but never seen it in a picture, but if I knew earlier I would have taken some pictures and bragged to people about it. True, nobody will believe what you see without proof. Looking at the positive side, at least we got to see something people cannot see even after spending millions. My decision of following you was not bad after all, she said with a small chuckle. If she says like that, Aoki didn't take a picture too in spite of being aware of that Pokemon as he was stunned by the beautiful scene last time. After breakfast, they continued their journey to Vividian City, which was now around 2 kilometers away. On the way, Aoki told Misty about the legend of Rainbow Wings and Ho-Oh from what he remembered. Misty couldn't believe that the legend of Rainbow Wing was actually true, as her father used to tell her stories similar to what Aoki was telling her. Misty was amazed by his knowledge and asked how Aoki knew so much, to which he made an excuse that he read it from an old book that his parents brought from the Johto region. As they walked they saw many wind Pokemons like Mankey, Paras, and Oddish, which he commanded Bellsprout and Pidgey to defeat. As he didn't Mankey to go berserk and call his group on him, he promised every Mankey some food if they fought against his Pokemons. This served as practical experience for all the training they did. Misty too made her Steryu battle against the wild Pokemons, and Aoki had to agree that she had some skill. It has been recorded that the more the Pokemon fought and used their energy, the more their total energy reserves increased. While fighting, both of Aoki's Pokemons had to maintain Blessing from Growth and Tailwind along with the special technique taught by Aoki. This task turned out to be more difficult than training, but after yesterday's night, both of them had a new goal which they wanted to reach with Aoki, for that they would do anything and surpass their limits. On the way, an accident happened. Well, Pidgey got overconfident and provoked a group of Spearows, making the entire flock attack them. This led to everyone getting hurt, but not too severely. Fortunately, the flock members were weak individually, or else things could have been worse. Aoki emptied the medicine stock he brought with him on himself and his Pokemon. This happens when you don't follow proper instructions. It's my fault too that I didn't command you properly. From now on we have to avoid that, okay? Aoki said to the now guilty Pidgey, whose wings were bandaged. We are a family now and we need to look after each other. We have to take today's incident as a learning experience, it matters a lot. He took out some stored Pokemon food and gave them to Bellsport and Pidgey. Two of you managed to fewer injuries in this difficult fight, this is your treat for that. Both of them happily munched on the food and swear never to do it again. After walking for a few hours, they finally reached the gates of Vividian City. Aoki called back both of his Pokemons and went near the gate to enter the city, but they were stopped by Officer Jenny at the gate. It turns out that there have been sightings of Team Rocket recently, so the ID of everyone who enters or leaves the city is being checked. Aoki presented his Pokédex while Misty showed her mobile. Sorry for the inconvenience, I wish you a safe stay in the Vividian City, said the officer. They entered the city after thanking Officer Jenny, but not before petting the Growlithe beside her after taking permission. Where will we stay? Asked Misty. Let's stay in the Pokemon Center for today. We can decide about the future after I get myself registered for the Trainer Alliance, said Aoki, as Pokemon Centers provide free room for one day to every trainer. Which side branch are you going to choose? Asked Misty. I am going to choose Ranger. You're a gym apprentice, right? I have both Ranger and Gym Apprentice. In the Pokemon world, there are various factions that control the world, like the Pokemon League Alliance, Team Rocket, etc. Common people have very few chances to have officially more than one Pokemon due to the strict rules. A lot of people even spend their life not having a single Pokemon. Only a person with a proper license, a lot of money or connections can keep Pokemon due to how dangerous wild Pokemon are. More than 70% of total deaths happen due to wild Pokemon. So a common person going to the wild to catch a Pokemon without any help is the same as committing suicide. This is why various fractions are made that give people a chance to own Pokemon. Money plays a major role in deciding how far a person can go or take his Pokemon. Currently, the largest faction in the Kanto region is the Pokemon League Alliance, followed by several alliances like the Researcher Alliance, which Aoki wants to join in the future. To become a part of a fraction, one needs to have a trainer ID and money. Every person can have membership in more than one fraction, but some fractions don't allow that, unlike the League Alliance. For a person like Aoki, the League Alliance is the best choice. There is also Team Rocket, but he wants to avoid the dark. Although he can benefit more in Team Rocket, there will be a constant threat to his life. Aoki's parents were part of a small-scale force that focused on Pokemon and human food. This is why they can have Pokemon without a trainer license. His father sometimes went to different places in Kanto to cook for various influential people while his mother mostly stayed home taking care of the restaurant. Aoki had seen many awards that his parents won when they were young. Aoki had inherited a cooking talent that surpasses both of them. There are a lot of benefits he can attain from becoming a member of the League Alliance, for example getting large discounts in hotels, marts, restaurants, and hospitals, and access to exclusive contests. Every trainer has to pay a certain amount per month for membership in the League Alliance. It is around 5 to 7k for standard ID and 15k for added benefits. There are various sub-branches one can choose from such as pharmacy where people learn about taking care of Pokemon and humans and become a helper in the Pokemon centers. This branch is controlled by the Joy family who owns most of the Chansey Pokemon breeding ground. Next is the police force which includes the investigation force and the basic police force. This branch is owned by the Jenny family who holds most of the breeding grounds of Growlithe. There are many more branches like Gym Trainee which Misty has a membership. This ID symbolizes that this person is part of the gym circle run by the League and may lead the gym in the future. There are around 20 gyms in the Kanto region out of which 8 are owned by the Alliance. Finally comes the Ranger branch which is directly under the Alliance. In this branch, trainers can take missions like rescuing, or defeating wild Pokemon for rewards. One mission per month is the minimum requirement rangers need to follow to retain their ID. They are free from this rule if they reach the rank of Master Trainer. Aoki chose this branch because this has the most freedom out of all the branches. One thing every branch has in common is space for keeping Pokemon where they will be regularly fed and taken care of. Aoki doesn't need this because he signed a contract with Professor Oak for that when he received the Pokédex. Finally, they reached the Pokemon Center after walking for a while. It was one of the largest buildings in Vividian City having a red-white color scheme. It was circular in shape with a giant Pokeball on top of the building. After admiring the building, Aoki entered the Pokemon Center which was surprisingly filled with trainers. They handed their Pokemons for a checkup to a present their nurse and asked if there was a special occasion. This nurse was not from the Joy family as she didn't have the signature pink hair. The Alliance is going to hold a 2-on-2 Junior Cup for new Pokemon trainers in 5 days whose registrations opens today. The top 3 winners will get money and other rewards. Hearing this, Aoki and Misty looked at each other and nodded. After giving their Pokemons to the nurse for healing, Misty went to register herself for the competition while Aoki went to another section to get himself registered as a ranger. He took the standard membership of 5k for now and would change it when he has enough. The process of registering for the event was not so time-taking and was done in a few minutes. He was told about a rule that he had to register the Pokemons he was going to use and no other Pokemons other than the registered ones could be used during the matches. Aoki looked for the information about the competition and found more details. Aoki remembered seeing about their competition for the past few years. This competition is held every year at different locations for trainers who just started their journey and have junior-level Pokemon. This serves as a practice match for their future and gives some money for their journey. The rewards vary each year from Pokemons to evolution stones to Pokeballs etc. which are revealed on the day of the match. The Pokemons provided are commonly found but have better talent than wild Pokemons. Next was getting himself registered for the Pokemon League for which he received a badge case. The minimum number of badges required to participate in the league was 8, which was going to be held around a year later. Among the 8 badges, at least 5 had to be from the official gyms which were currently 8 in the Kanto region. As their number was called, they got their Pokemon back with some suggestions from the nurse regarding Pokemon's safety. Aoki already knew that the majority of nurses that took Pokemon from trainers for healing were not from the Joy family. They were more like helpers hired by the Pokemon Center for management and guide trainers. People from the Joy family could be found inside where trainers were not allowed as Pokemon are checked there. Sorry but we have only a single room, can you two adjust? The room provider apologized. Aoki looked towards Misty if she was comfortable sharing a room with him, which she agreed to do. They entered the room and took a bath turn-wise. Aoki gave his Pokemon a good wash too. In the evening both of them went for a shopping spree in separate ways. Misty went to buy new clothes and portions while Aoki went to restock his cooking ingredients and adjustable weights for both of his Pokemon. Finally, he entered the mart and looked for DMS for his Pokemon. First, he brought 2 copies of Protect and Double Team then Sunny Day and Work Up. The total shopping spree cost him about 20k Poke dollars. The only reason he was able to afford so many TMS is because of his license as a ranger. The job of ranger was the most difficult as they had to spend most of their time among the wild Pokemon so they got a maximum discount. Sigh, it's hard raising Pokemon through Aoki. He returned back to the Pokémon Center and found that Misty was not back yet. He called his Pokémon and touched the trademark disc against their head. The discs turned into particles of light and entered their heads, filling them with information about the moves. Protect was a mandatory move he wanted all of his Pokémons to learn. Double teams were to increase their chances of confusing the enemy. The Sunny Day was to increase the blessing from growth and chlorophyll character trait of Bellsprout and finally work up to raise the attack and special attack of Pidgey. Aoki began telling both of his Pokémon about the upcoming competition and the new training plan for 5 days. The training will be difficult to the level that you would wish you were dead, but I promise that the outcome would be something that you both will be grateful for the rest of your lives. You both are young now and this is the right time to become as strong as possible and create a solid base for the future. Are you both ready? Vel. Pre. Both of his Pokémons were pretty fired up hearing about the event and wanted to win it for Aoki. Aoki took out his Pokédex and clicked a picture of the 2 Pokémon and sent it to the mobile device at home along with the message that he had reached Vividian City and got himself registered with the Alliance. Misty returned after a while with a change of clothes. She changed her shirt and now wore jeans that covered her entire legs. For someone beautiful like Misty, every dress looks nice on her. You look beautiful, said Aoki. Thanks. I have reserved 2 seats in the cafeteria, let's go. The food at the Pokémon Center felt normal after eating Aoki's food to everyone, but they wanted him to give a break from cooking too. After dinner, it was time to sleep, but there was only a single bed present. Aoki decided to sleep on the floor, but Misty stopped him and allowed him to sleep on the same bed as her with a slight blush. Chapter 9, Special Training. Author note: the world is a mixture of anime, games, and manga along with a lot of things that I decided to add. Due to this, the behavior and nature of people may change. Vividian City. The next morning when Aoki opened his eyes, he found Misty clinging to him like a pillow. That's a dangerous situation. If she wakes up she would probably lash out at me. Slowly. He moved her hands and left the bed. He woke her up after washing himself and went together to the cafeteria to talk about things. Aoki submitted the key to their room as they can only access the room for 1 night with their current membership. So what is the plan now? Asked Misty at the breakfast table. Let's book ourselves a hotel room and train for the next 5 days for the competition. Misty read the map and was informed that there were a few ponds in the west of Vividian City where she decided to train. Aoki agreed to train with her there. The risk is high there, but the gain should be worth it. Asterisk. These are adjustable weights that will enhance both of your physical strength. From today onwards it cannot be taken off until I say so. So let's start our exercise, said Aoki as he applied weights to himself too. His wallet has almost reached the bottom line due to all the spending. The place he chose was a circular pond among the various ponds in the forest deep west of Vividian City. At the entrance of the forest, he found a lot of trainers who were training their Pokémon, so he went deeper into the forest. The number of trainers was close to none due to a large number of wild Pokémon infestations. So far he has come across Paras, Venonat, Oddish, Rattata, Raticate, Ikans, and Pidgeotto, along with various Pokémon corpses that are unrecognizable. After the preparations, he and Bellsprout started running while Pidgey flew at her fastest speed around the large pond. Aoki since childhood never neglected physical training, so it was easy for him to run even with weights, but it was not the same for his Pokémons who had difficulty with weights on. Aoki told them that if they wanted to be strong they had to surpass their limits and do things more difficult than others if they truly wanted to grow. Bellsprout and Pidgey had their breathing exercise active along with circulating energy around their body. After 2 hours of intense workout, 3 of them dropped to the ground panting. Aoki provided them with food that focused on reducing fatigue and took a 20 minutes break. After resting, all of them began meditation for 30 minutes. This is where the main training started. Bellsprout started showering Pidgey with all sorts of attacks, but she could only use Double Team and Protect. After 1 hour the roles reversed, with Pidgey attacking and Bellsprout defending with Protect and dodging with Double Team. Unlike Protect, which had a cooldown before it could be used again, Double Team did not, so Aoki wanted to make his Pokémons execute Double Team as fast as possible. If he only depended on the attack power of his Pokémons, he would lose, so he needed some more things that would make the match easier for him. After this was done, for the next hour Bellsprout practiced Sunny Day and Pidgey practiced Work Up. Learning Sunny Day was the most challenging thing Bellsprout had ever done, which required turning his body's energy into fire-type energy. The TM Aoki used had ingrained the method to achieve the feat, but doing that in practice was a different matter. Just using a TM will not make a Pokémon master that move, but only give them an idea of what the move does and some directions, which were better than nothing. Workup was not as difficult as Sunny Day but not easy too. Pidgey had to move her muscles in a certain way to trigger that move which took a lot of control and energy. Meanwhile, Aoki was not idle, he had started practicing boxing from a book he brought from the mart in Vividian City. The human body was weak in comparison to Pokemon but has limitless potential, so Aoki wanted to make his body very strong to protect himself in case of emergency. A lot of wild Pokemon flocked to them, so Aoki made Pidgey fight them for more experience. He took out a container and started collecting poison from every poison-type Pokemon and fed it to Bellsprout. Poison-type Pokemon who have strong poison have a poison sac that increases the power behind the poison. In the case of Bellsprout, it develops naturally in some when they evolve to Weeponbin. Aoki is feeding him with a large amount of poison to help him develop his poison core early. Aoki instructed Bellsprout to start creating his poison sac with the eternal poison he fed to him, as the poison in his body was not enough. This method is dangerous as a Pokemon may die from poisoning, but Aoki has poison heals ready in case of emergency. While Bellsprout was focusing on the poison, Aoki cooked some Spearow meat and fed it to Pidgey. Pokemon in the wild always eat other Pokemon for food, but only a handful of those Pokemon are edible for humans. Pokemon like Pidgey, Spearow, Krabby, Magikarp, etc. are the Pokemons mostly eaten by people in Kanto. Out of which Farfetch'd and Slowpoke's tail are considered delicacies. Meat from Pokemon was very nutritious, which would help in the growth of Pidgey. Aoki was not so cruel as to make him eat the meat of his kind, so he bought Spearow's meat. Aoki could get more supply of Spearow meat from the wild, but he didn't want to kill Pokemons unless there was no choice. Trainers are allowed to kill wild Pokemon if their life is in danger, but mass killing is illegal. After a while, Aoki checked the progress and saw the power behind Bellsprout. His poison power has increased, but that is a temporary boost unless he creates a poison sac. Prepare yourselves, we are going to collect more poison for Bellsprout, said Aoki as he packed his bag. They ventured deep into the forest and started collecting poison from every acorns they could find and feeding it to Bellsprout. Occasionally they came across some glooms which gave some nice amount of poison too. They had to take continuous breaks as Bellsprout needed time to adjust to all that poison. Due to all these, Bellsprout's skin had become purple, but his performance was not affected as poison-type Pokemons had a very high resistance to poison than other poison-type Pokemons. After walking for a while they finally came across an Arbok that had just swallowed Eradicate. The problem with hunting Arbok was that the species was in the intermediate rank whereas he was in the junior rank. But power doesn't mean anything if it can't hit his Pokemon. After today's training, he was confident in taking down any intermediate rank Pokemon. Bellsprout used Sunny Day with growth. Pidgey used Workup and Tailwind. Arbok was alerted by the bright ball of energy released by Bellsprout and attacked Aoki instead of his Pokemon as he seemed an easier target. Bellsprout, Vine Whip and Sleep Scent, Sweet Scent and Sleep Powder. Pidgey, Gust, Double Team, and Peck. As soon as Arbok came near Aoki, it was slammed down by the Vine Whip of Bellsprout while a small tornado enveloped him. This made Arbok slam into a tree, but it didn't lose its wit and condensed poison-type energy in his fags and jumped towards Pidgey, but he hit only an afterimage as Pidgey had already completed Double Team, so his speed was too fast for Arbok. All of a sudden Arbok felt pain on his head as Pidgey used Peek on him. As Arbok tried going for poison, he felt a sharp pain on various parts of his body as Bellsprout had started hitting it with a razor leaf. By now the Sleep Powder and Sweet Scent had started taking effect. Pidgey continuous wing attack, Bellsprout stun spore, and slam. After some more minutes of fighting the Arbok fell defeated. Aoki didn't wait and started collecting poison from his fangs. Bellsprout sat in one place and gulped down the poison in one go. Aoki picked up Bellsprout and left the area in a hurry as he had ventured too deep and his safety might not be guaranteed anymore. As Aoki ran, Bellsprout showed a painful expression as his body started changing. Now is the current time, Bellsprout. Start making new poison core at the back of your head. That's the ideal place. Aoki gave some space to Bellsprout after reaching a safe place. Pidgey, keep an eye and attack anything that approaches this area. Bellsprout made a shrill noise as the purple mist started to emit from his body. Aoki moved back to not get affected by the mist, which looked dangerous. The mist got deeper every second, completely lowering the visibility of Bellsprout. Pidgey, seeing this, was going to get rid of the mist, but Aoki stopped him. He is going through a change, don't disturb him. It took an entire hour for the mist to be clear, during which multiple Acans and glooms approached the area sensing the high poison concentration. Even after removing the weights, Pidgey had a hard time fighting due to the large number of Pokemons. Fortunately, Pidgey was able to fight off all the wild Pokemons but could move a muscle anymore. After the mist cleared, he found that the height of the Bellsprout had increased from 80 cm to 120 cm, which was a shocking scene for Aoki. Aoki never expected the Arbok to have such a huge change to the height of Bellsprout. The colors on his body had become deeper too. Bellsprout looked towards the fallen body of wild Pokemons which shined in green light and entered his body. Aoki understood that Bellsprout had learned Acid and Mega Drain. Aoki tested the new power of Bellsprout and found that its poison was now on par with the Arbok they found a few hours ago. He and Pidgey congratulated him for his hard work and retired to the hotel after washing up in the pond. Pidgey, hey, how was the experience? I was scared seeing the purple mist, you know. Bellsprout, thanks for asking, although I felt a lot of pain when I started absorbing the poison. After that, I felt a lot of energy circulating in my body. Pidgey, I wonder if the master can give me something to rapidly increase my size too. Bellsprout, you are already twice the size of a normal Pidgey, how much bigger do you even want to be? Pidgey, big enough to give you and master ride across the sky. When Aoki returned to the hotel, he was met with a surprise there as Misty had a new partner, Meryl, that she caught in the forest. Meryl as a species was very friendly and good at directions. Aoki asked Misty, have you ever eaten far-fetched meat? Yes, due to my father being a gym leader we often get gifts which include far-fetched meat. Currently, we can't afford it yet as it costs a lot. Misty said. Misty said that she has a lot of Magikarp recipes at home which she wants Aoki to try. She said that her family owns a Magikarp farm where they are raised for meat. Out of all the Magikarps which have the potential to evolve into Gyarados are raised separately or sold. It's incredibly hard to raise a Gyarados from Magikarp, so people don't train Magikarp often. The next day Aoki returned to the forest and started intensive training again. This cycle continued for the next 4 days, which brought the energy of his Pokemon to the threshold of intermediate rank. He didn't want them to go to intermediate rank because the competition was only for Pokemon up to peak junior rank Pokemon. He had asked both of them to suppress their evolutions when it comes till they can't completely get hold of their energy. Aoki opened his Pokédex and scanned the upgraded stats. Name, Bellsprout. Type, Grass/Poison. Species, Flower Pokemon. Gender, Male. Ability, Chlorophyll, enhances speed under sunlight. Stage, Junior. Moves, Vine Whip, Growth, Wrap, Sleep Powder, Poison Powder, Sweet Scent, Sunny Day, Protect, Double Team, Razor Leaf, Acid, Giga Drain, Wrap, Stun Spore, Slam, Energy Ball. Name, Pidgey. Type, Normal/Flying. Species, Tiny Bird Pokemon. Gender, Female. Ability, Keen Eyes, immune to attacks that lower accuracy. Stage, Junior. Moves, Tackle, Sand Attack, Gust, Quick Attack, Tailwind, Work Up, Protect, Double Team, Peck, Wing Attack, Aerial Ace, Roost. His Pidgey was now equal to the size of a Pidgeotto. Her size would be unimaginable when she evolved into a Pidgeot. Over the time he trained his Pokemons, he found that his Pidgey had higher potential than that of Bellsprout, but that didn't worry him as Bellsprout made up for it by working hard. He felt like his Pidgey was a bit more special than all the Pidgeys seen so far. The moves like Energy Ball and Aerial Ace were his trump card moves, which were very difficult to teach them. At the end of the training, both of his Pokemon had learned to get Growth, Tailwind, and breathing techniques activated all the time. Ready for tomorrow? Asked Aoki to his Pokemons. Both of them made a gesture as if saying leave it to us. Asterisk. At the dinner table. Ready for tomorrow? Asked Aoki. Yes, I have trained my Pokemon as much as I could, be careful, I may even surprise you, said Misty with a smug face. Say, Misty. If I win first place in the competition, will you go out with me? Asked Aoki. Hearing this, Misty's mind blacked out and a memory surfaced in her head. Did you reject another guy, Misty? If this goes on you will be single forever, said one of Misty's sisters. Don't tell me what to do. This was not the first time she was being confessed to. Although most of the boys living in the area avoided her, some of them tried proposing to her, but Misty knew that they were for her father's position and money, not for her. She never felt comfortable with any of them. She only had a few people she could call friends. Aoki was the first boy that came so close to her who made her feel comfortable. He was fun to be with and a good person who didn't care about her background. She would be lying if she said that she didn't have a slight crush on him too. After getting hold of her emotions she said sure. If you win first place, I will go out with you. And if I win the first rank you will cook according to my choice for the next 1 month. Challenge accepted, Aoki said happily. Chapter 10, The Junior Cup. Author note. The world is a mixture of anime, games, and manga along with a lot of things that I decided to add. Due to this, the behavior and nature of people may change. Vividian Stadium. Today this place was full of people who were here to witness a tournament held by the League for the junior rank trainers. The tickets for this event were on sale the last day and completely sold out in under an hour. The Vividian Stadium was a stadium owned by the Kanto League Alliance where various events like a breeder exam, sports events, Pokemon matches, etc. take place. And when it's empty, it can be used by trainers for battling or various activities by paying a fee. This stadium has lots of facilities like a swimming pool, restaurant, gym, etc. for trainers too. If the trainer has a premium membership of the League Alliance, they can use these facilities for free. There are more people than expected, Aoki said looking at the crowd. This much crowd is expected in tournaments held by the League Alliance, Misty said. Currency both of them were standing on the top floor of the stadium with food plates. This floor was filled with trainers as they were given free breakfast. Confident Misty. I sure am. You make sure that you don't lose too early. Aoki looked through the transparent glass walls of the stadium which made him very excited. He could see a lot of cameras being set up probably for the live telecast of the event. I hope my parents can take out some time to watch this event. Aoki, let's go, it's time. Coming. As they were talking, their attention was taken towards the announcer who announced the beginning of the event. I welcome everyone to the 15th Junior Cup tournament sponsored by the Kanto League Alliance. I thank all the participants and the audience for gathering here on such short notice. I wish all the trainers to give their best and forge a path for themselves that will lead to a better future. Thank you. The audience clapped as the speech by a league representative ended. Just after his speech, the person responsible for commentary announced the prizes for this event which were displayed on a large TV attached to the stadium. Rank 1-60k poke dollars plus 7 Ultra Balls. Rank 2-50k poke dollars plus 5 Ultra Balls. Rank 3, 40k poke dollars plus 2 Ultra Ball. Not only that, for every round 1, a sum of 1k poke dollars would also be offered. Hearing this, participants cheered up. Having Ultra Balls means a nearly 100% chance to catch a wild Pokemon, not to mention the generous cash rewards. The price of each Ultra Ball was around 10k 15k, so the rewards were very generous. Best of luck, Aoki. Same to you. 1 by 170 participants entered the stadium ground with the audience cheering. Meanwhile in Orange Town, there were a lot of people sitting inside a well-decorated 2-story building and watching the event live on TV. There was another TV on the lawn that had more people who watched the scene with excitement too. Inside the house, a couple was especially excited about the event. Darling, look, it's our son, said a beautiful woman named Alicia. She was Aoki's mother. He looks confident, let's see how much has he trained his Pokemon, said Aoki's father Aoba. Similar things happened in the Williams household with Misty's parents watched the live telecast. Back to Aoki. He sat in the participant area and looked at the guest seats. He was surprised to see Professor Oak sitting there and waving back at the trainers who waved at him. So he is the chief guest of honor. The tournament began with trainers selected by lucky draw. In the first round, half of the trainers would be eliminated. Now welcome Misty from Cerulean City and Joe from Vividian City. Misty's turn was earlier than Aoki's. Some league representatives watched the battle carefully as they got information that she was the daughter of the current Cerulean gym leader. At two ends of the battlefield stood two trainers who stared at each other. The battlefield that the competition will be going to be held was decided to be the standard field with the generally hard ground with patches of grass. Both trainers prepare your Pokemons. The battle will follow standard battle rules which included the round ending with either Pokemon losing combat capability. Items and switching Pokemons are not allowed during the match. Start! Followed by the announcement, both trainers called out their Pokemon at the same time. Misty sent out Staryu while the opponent Joe out a Gloom. Joe made the first move and called for Vine Whip. He smirked as he had the type advantage, but his face twisted with shock when Misty said, Staryu uses Confusion. The gems on the body of Staryu glowed, which was followed by Gloom getting blasted with Confusion. Gloom was 4 times weak to psychic attacks, so one move was over for it. Gloom loses combat capability, Staryu wins. Aoki watched the battle and smirked, the power behind confusion was formidable, but he was confident his Pokémon could deal with that. Next Joe sent out a Guadud which was 2 1-hit KO'd by Staryu, making Misty the winner. He congratulated her for winning and watched more battles with her. So far the fastest battles have been won by 3 people, one with a Bulbasaur, one with a Wartortle, and one with a Chimchar. Seeing Chimchar, the public had various reactions, as most people here had never seen a Chimchar or only seen it on the internet. Due to the high cost of the internet and the device to browse the net, only a handful of people had access to the internet. The announcer told that Chimchar was a royal starter of the Sinnoh region, that guy also had a Charmander. This guy was probably from an influential family in the league and had the most chance of winning if Aoki didn't participate. After a while, it was finally time for Aoki's battle. Aoki stood in his place wearing the red jacket he uses on special occasions. He sent our Bellsprout while the other released a Fearow. Although Bellsprout was bigger than usual but was small in comparison to the towering Fearow. Seeing this, the opponent trainer had a wide smile, but Aoki had a smile too, which confused his opponent. Bellsprout stood tall with pride and looked directly into the eyes of the towering Fearow. Shit. Bad matchup from the start. Sigh, bad luck. Misty became sad seeing Aoki's opponent. Most of the audience had already decided who would be the winner, but they were up for a surprise. Start. The referee announced at the start of the match. Growth, Sunny Day, and Double Team, said Aoki. Bellsprout glowed green and multiple copies of him started forming around the field. Fearow used Gust to destroy the clones, but they were replaced by new ones. Bellsprout moved his head to face and sky and used Sunny Day. All the preparations are done. Now time for a show. Bellsprout Poison Leaf and Stun Scent. Fearow Wing Attack. The audience was confused with the name of the moves, but Oak knew that they were combined moves, which made him watch the match with interest. The fact that Bellsprout was doing combo moves too easily, which was supposed to be very difficult to achieve, showed the skills of both Aoki and his Pokémon. Fearow was fast, but Bellsprout was faster. Bellsprout dodged his attack easily, bending at an unnatural angle, and slashed at the bird with poison-clad leaves and a mixture of Stun Spore and Sweet Scent at the same time. This was one of the reasons Aoki chose Bellsprout out of the given starters, his flexibility and utility. Bellsprout can bend his body at various angles to dodge attacks that are generally unavoidable. By stabbing his root-like legs into the ground, his body can become a rubber-like structure, reducing damage against physical attacks. While the trainer was thinking about the next move, Aoki had begun setting up a plan. Fearow Gust. But due to the effect of the Stun Spore, Fearow became paralyzed for a short moment, making Bellsprout jump onto Fearow and inject more poison into the body of Fearow, especially near the neck. Bellsprout, use your roots to entangle against Fearow's neck and don't let go at any cost, Aoki commanded. The match is finished. Bellsprout will take this round, Professor Oak commended, making the people around him give him confused look, but since Professor himself said that, it could not be wrong. So they watched more carefully. Fearow screamed with pain, but Bellsprout used a Vine Whip to close his mouth and inject more poison and Stun Spore. Fearow struggled to move Bell's route away from him, but Bellsprout's hold got stronger. This was Aoki's strategy to deal with bigger and stronger opponents. The famous poison stall strategy. If he cannot beat the opponent in strength, beat them differently. Aoki watched the showdown with a smile. The situation was now in complete favor of Aoki. This strategy could not have worked if Bellsprout did not get the boost from all the poison he consumed in the last few days. In a way, the forest outside Vividian City was a blessing. Now time for her finishing move. Bellsprout used Razor Leaf to cover Fearow's eyes. Fearow's trainer kept calling him, but Fearow could not hear anything and started losing consciousness due to the effect of the poison. Bellsprout used Slam and finish him. Bellsprout released Fearow's neck and jumped in the air as his legs glowed white. Thud. Bam! Bellsprout slammed his legs against Fearow's head, making him crash to the ground with a loud noise. Fearow loses combat capability, Bellsprout wins. There was a moment of silence after the announcement, but the next second hell broke loose. The audience became crazy for Aoki as they never expected Bellsprout to win. Misty's mouth got wide open seeing what just happened. Seems like I underestimated him, how foolish of me. Is this what people call a born genius, I wonder? Professor Oak saw Aoki's Bellsprout and thought. That was brutal. The Bellsprout that did nothing except play has become so strong. The way Aoki commanded his Pokémon, he knew how to deal with a Fearow. An interesting trainer, I must say. Normally I would have given you a royal starter for scoring the first rank, but there were some problems that did not allow me to reserve a royal starter for you. Based on his observation, although the energy within Bellsprout was junior rank, his powers were in intermediate rank, based on his color and height, he was very healthy. You were telling the truth, Professor, Bellsprout really won, said one of the people sitting beside him. Oak's eyes wandered to the participant section, especially a trainer who was sitting with a Charmander. How disappointing! Among the participants, one trainer in particular shorted seeing the match. Beside him was a Chimchar who gave the same reaction. There was a Charmander who sat beside the Chimchar saw the performance with sadness, especially the part where Aoki treated his Pokémon with affection. What are you making that face for, Hui? That we'd just got lucky. The trainer rebuked his Charmander. Back to the match. Aoki patted the head of Bellsprout and praised him for his performance. As some items were allowed after each round, Aoki gave Bellsprout a bottle of water to drink and replenish his stamina quickly under the sundae. Aoki's opponent sent out his next Pokémon, which was an Ekans, which too got thrashed by Bellsprout, making him the winner. Fighting against Ekans for the last few days had made Bellsprout used to all the moves that Pokémon could use, so no matter what Ekans used, Aoki and Bellsprout had a counter against it. Ekans is unable to battle, Bellsprout wins. With 2 consecutive wins, Aoki from Orange Town wins the round. The audience cheered loudly for Aoki as he wandered away from the stage after shaking hands with his opponent, who looked very disappointed. The battles continued for hours with Aoki and Misty winning matches until only 4 people were left. Aoki, Misty, a girl named Jill who had a Wartortle, and Nate who had Chimchar. It was time for the semifinals, and the matchups were 1 Misty vs Jill. 2 Aoki vs Nate. The event had reached the peak of excitement as these 4 were the strongest trainers and their clash was highly anticipated. Just 2 more matches, Bellsprout, we can win this. Chapter 11, Junior Cup Semi-Finals. Author note: the world is a mixture of anime, games, and manga, along with a lot of things that I decided to add. Due to this, the behavior and nature of people may change. Vividian Stadium. The excitement cheered loudly as the trainers for the first match of the semi-final finals entered the stadium. Jill was a blue-haired, fairly decent-looking girl around the age of 18 who wore baggy clothes. She had long hair which was tied to form a ponytail. Going by her attitude, she was a cheerful girl who already made some friends within a span of a few hours. The match between Misty and Jill started soon after the announcement. Same as always, Misty sent out Staryu while Jill sent out her Wartortle. Staryu Harden. Wartortle Iron Defense. Both of them used moves to increase their defense for the first turn. Staryu used the move Confuse Ray, but Wartortle hid inside his shell and started to spin, destroying the Confuse Ray. Staryu used Confusion, but Wartortle for the first time in the match used the move Mirror Coat, which reversed the attack and hit Staryu. Staryu after evolution gains Psychic type, so his psychic immunity increases, but now as he doesn't have that typing, Staryu took a lot of damage from his confusion. Wartortle was a perfect counter to Staryu with Mirror Coat for special attack and high defense against Staryu's attack. But Misty was not to be underestimated. Both of the Pokémon clashed multiple times and finally fell at the same time, making it a tie. Wartortle was weaker than expected. Going by the defense and attack power, Wartortle evolved in a hurry, not reaching his full potential as a Squirtle. Aoki concluded from the match. Both Pokémon have lost combat capability, please send the next Pokémon. Misty had no choice but to send Meryl, as Goldeen cannot fight on land, only after evolving to Seeking it can fight on land properly. But when her opponent sent out a Pikachu, she had lost all hopes of winning. And as expected, the match didn't last long and Meryl fell to a thunderbolt from Pikachu, making Jill the winner and sending her to the finals. Misty was sad, but Aoki consoled her. Good luck with your match and don't forget to take revenge for me, said Misty. Yes, don't worry. For the second match of the semi-finals, Aoki and Nate came forward. Nate was a good-looking guy whose attire screamed rich. He had short blonde hair with a few strands of deep blue color. He had multiple rings on his fingers made of gold and precious gems. Nate looked at Aoki with an arrogant smile as if looking down at him. Don't know why, but I have a sudden urge to punch his face. Aoki was not worried about Nate's Charmander as it was poorly trained, so even Bellsprout can take care of him, but the problem was the Chimchar. Nate had filled his Chimchar with moves like a flamethrower, flame wheel, dig brick break, and most importantly Fire Blast, which was basically one-shot move at this stage. He had to take care of the Chimchar before it activated its Blaze character trait. This was a very dangerous trait as Fire-type moves would get a 50% boost in strength. Aoki's worry was not about winning the match but winning with Bellsprout alone. Till now, out of all the participants, only he swept the floor with one Pokémon, and he wants it to remain like that till the end. Begin. The match began with Aoki sending Bellsprout and Nate with Charmander. Bellsprout immediately went for the offensive as using Sunny Day now would backfire on him as fire-type moves would get a boost too while there was no time to spare for growth. On a closer look, his Charmander was malnourished while his Chimchar was healthy. Quite a partiality in treatment you got there, hey. Charmander used Ember which Bellsprout easily dodged due to how slow it was. Charmander used Smokescreen but Bellsprout cut through the smoke with his razor-sharp leaves. Charmander used Dragon Breath commanded Charmander but nothing came out of Charmander's mouth giving Bellsprout another good hit. Tisk, waste. Nate muttered under his breath. Charmander used Scratch but he was overpowered by Bellsprout's Vine Whip. Charmander tried using Flamethrower but Bellsprout slammed his mouth shut and used full power Giga Drain and Vine Whip and defeated Charmander. Nate gritted his teeth and called back Charmander. Fucking trash, he muttered under his breath as he sent out Chimchar who used Taunt as soon as he came to the field. This could not cancel out growth but will make Bellsprout unable to use non-attacking moves for a while. Chimchar Flamethrower commanded Nate. Bellsprout dodge and use Energy Ball. Bellsprout dodged the flamethrower and fired an energy ball towards Chimchar who fired another flamethrower, their attacks clashed creating an explosion. Chimchar Fire Punch. Bellsprout Acid. The Fire Punch from Chimchar was an unexpected move as he didn't use it from the start. This could be troublesome, either he was hiding this move or learned it mid-battle. Whatever it is, I have a counter for this move, Aoki thought. Bellsprout fired an orb of poison but the Fire Punch of Chimchar evaporated it. Immediately Bellsprout used Protect and blocked Chimchar. Chimchar Brick Break. Bellsprout Slam. Both of them evenly clashed in this move. The audience was surprised that a Bellsprout was going against a Chimchar now on equal terms. This is when Chimchar got poisoned by Bellsprout while the effect of Stun Spore and the Sweet Scene started to take effect. The next few minutes will be the most important part of the match. Hold on Bellsprout, we can do this. Fuck it. Chimchar use Flame Wheel and Fire Blast and destroy the weed. Bellsprout was now in trouble. If he cannot dodge the upcoming attacks it was over for him. Fortunately, the effect of Taunt was gone. Aoki commanded Bellsprout to use Poison Spore and Double Team while aiming Poison Leaf toward Chimchar. Aoki was continuously looking at the trainer and the behavior of Chimchar to use a new strategy. Aoki knew that Nate lost his cool when things didn't go according to his plans which he wanted to take advantage of. From the start of the tournament, Aoki had been keeping a close call on some trainers that can give him trouble and Nate was one of them. Fire Blast takes time to charge for a Pokemon like Chimchar so he can get a few hits before that. Multiple images of Bellsprout were created which were destroyed by the Flame Wheel but it gave a chance to hit Chimchar which Bellsprout took advantage of nicely. Due to this attack Chimchar was poisoned and paralyzed giving Bellsprout another chance to get a good hit. Unfortunately, it activated its Blaze character trait which made Chimchar use Fire Blast instantly. Bellsprout can't dodge that, it's over for him but he is not doing down alone. Bellsprout used Protect and Energy Ball. Boom! Fire Blaze powered Fire Blast destroyed the effect of Protect and hit Bellsprout while Energy Ball hit the already injured Chimchar. This caused another explosion filling the field with smoke. The audience held their breath to see the result of the battle. As the smoke cleared both Pokemon were lying on the ground huffing but Bellsprout's condition was worse as his body was on fire. Both the trainers called out their Pokemons but none of them stood up. Both Pokemon have fallen at the same time making it a draw. Aoki has still one Pokemon so he moves to the finals. The audience cheered like maniacs at the battle that took place. Currently, this was the most amazing battle that had happened in the tournament. For the first time, people saw a Bellsprout who is considered a very weak species defeated two Fire-type royal starters who are praised for their strength. Aoki ran towards Bell's route and emptied a bottle of water on him while applying a burn heal and a portion. Bellsprout painfully opened his eyes to look at Aoki with a slight regret that he lost. Don't ever make that expression ever again Bellsprout. You haven't lost, we haven't lost all to your credit. I am proud of you Bellsprout and always will be. Bellsprout made a happy expression and then closed his eyes to take some rest. Tisk. Nate clicked his tongue and called back Chimchar before leaving. In the VIP room. Professor Oak, do you know about this boy Aoki? Asked one league executive. Yes, he received his starter Bellsprout and Pokédex from me, said Oak. Does he belong to any influential family? No, he is from a family that runs a restaurant in Orange Town. His starter was also a normal Bellsprout I found in the wild. If can raise the level of his starter to this level in a few days, his skills are top-notch. I checked his records and he seems to hold the first position at your sponsored school, so why didn't he receive a royal starter or a high talent Pokemon? This year the number of royal starters that could start their training was very less. The eggs received had not hatched yet. Moreover, I had reserved a Charmander but someone else chose him. Oak. That child Nate chose Charmander from you, right? I believe he is the son of one of the highest ranking members of the Sinnoh League Alliance. Yes, but seems like he couldn't bring out the true potential of Charmander, said Oak regretfully. Didn't your grandson and granddaughter receive their starter too? Yes, they received their starter, but they want to start after a month and get used to their new Pokemon first, as there is still time for the Indigo Conference. This statement made it clear where the other two starters went. Connections and favoritism was a huge factor after all. If you truly wanted, you could have given him a royal starter, old man. Only if you were interested in him earlier. Aoki, hey. I will remember him. The league representative thought. Chapter 12, Junior Cup Finals. Aoki was given a chance to heal his Pokemon and take a break before his match. The same for all the remaining contestants. Those who were eliminated were free to watch the rest of the event. The final and position for third place will take place in the evening. There were food stalls available both inside and outside the stadium for the audience to take a break and enjoy themselves too. Aoki gave his Bellsprout to Nurse Joy and sat down with Misty to eat. You have completely surpassed my expectations, Aoki. I never knew you could reverse that situation. What to say, if I want to reach the height I dream of, I need to be able to do that. I can't deny that. That reminds me, normally machines are used to assess the rank of a Pokemon, but I saw during the time of registration that a person could say their rank with one look. Do you think he is one of those people who could assess the rank I used to hear about? Yes, he can tell the rank of Pokemon due to being born with high energy sensitivity. Even I can do that. You can. This ability is not as rare as you think. Is that true? I always used to think that those people were a scam. So, how does that work? You know that every living being keeps leaking energy that cannot be sensed normally, right? This was taught in the final year of the trainer license course in the Pokemon school. Sorry, no idea, I skipped a lot of classes to mess around. Now you know, right? What the rank assessing machines do is measure the density, quality, and quantity of the energy released by the Pokemon to tell the Pokemon's rank. This machine was based on observing people who could do it normally, i.e. people like me and the one at the reception. People like me can sense this leaking energy from a Pokemon since birth, which can be upgraded with constant practice even to tell the total amount of energy of a Pokemon. This ability comes naturally to people who can use psychic powers but can be awakened by normal people like me too. Ever since I had a kid, I tried to use this ability on as many Pokemon and get familiar with the energy level of each rank of Pokemon. This ability is of great help in the wild as it tells if the wild Pokemon is worth engaging or not. Amazing! I never knew all these things, thanks for sharing this with me. Misty was very grateful that Aoki trusted her with his secret. Phew! The journey in the wild will at least be easier this way. I don't want to provoke a Pokemon that will get us killed, Misty thought. They talked about some more things till the matter about their opponents came. That guy Nate abuses his Charmander. I saw that the Charmander was scared of his trainer Aoki while eating. Unfortunately, he cannot do anything as his status was nowhere near. Nate didn't want to get himself into trouble. Yeah, it felt bad, but we cannot interfere with others' business yet. Misty, Nate will start with Charmander, as usual, to make way for his Chimchar. You should use Meryl first to take care of his Charmander and eat away as much energy as Chimchar as possible before finishing up with Staryu. Be careful of the Fire Blast of Chimchar as it can one-shot your Pokemon. Thank you for the advice, Aoki, good luck with your match. You too, Misty. Asterisk. In the evening the position for third place started. Nate started with Charmander, who looked more tired than before. Misty released Meryl and defeated Charmander quickly before losing to Chimchar. The fight between Staryu and Chimchar was interesting too, with Chimchar falling a few seconds before Staryu making Misty the winner and winning third place. Misty won by luck. Aoki assessed the match. Charmander was using moves like a mindless chicken and had zero coordination with his trainer. Chimchar was doing very well but could not activate Fire Blast on time and was a second late, giving Misty the win. Well, whatever, at least she won and got a confidence boost. I will ensure that she doesn't get overconfident. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the grand finale of the Junior 2-on-2 Cup hosted by the League Alliance. Welcome Aoki from Orange Town and Jill from Flannery City. People cheered loudly as both the contestants entered the stage. The audience wanted to know if Jill can make Aoki bring his second Pokemon. Begin. Go Wartortle. Go take another win Bellsprout. Both the trainers' Pokemons were at full health before the match. The match began with Bellsprout and Wartortle setting up support moves like Sunny Day and Double Team for Bellsprout, Iron Defense, and Withdrawal for Wartortle. It was good that Wartortle did not use Rain Dance or it would be difficult for Bellsprout. Aoki noticed that Wartortle could use consecutive moves but only the defensive ones, so he concluded that she must be using her Wartortle mainly for his defense. Makes sense as her Pikachu makes up for the attack power that Wartortle is missing. Bellsprout used Razor Leaves while Wartortle used Rapid Spin to destroy the leaves and immediately reached near Bellsprout using Bite on him. Aoki had commanded Bellsprout to use Vine Whip but Bellsprout could not make it on time, so the attack was unavoidable. Bellsprout cried out in pain as Wartortle increased the force of his teeth. Bellsprout used Giga Drain. Jill widened her eyes hearing that and immediately commanded Wartortle to move back, but it was too late as the health Bellsprout lost was drained from Wartortle. Jill realized that getting too close to Bellsprout would be dangerous, so she decided to use attacks that were a mix of long and short range. As Jill was about to make her next move, she figured something was wrong with Wartortle. His face was turning purple. Shit! He got poisoned. This is ridiculous. Jill clenched her fists with frustration. In that short moment that Wartortle used Bite on Bellsprout, he was poisoned in process of Bellsprout trying to get him off. Now I have to stall time. Aoki smiled seeing the current situation. The match continued with Wartortle displaying moves like Water Pulse, Aqua Tail, Skull Bash, Water Gun, which Bellsprout used Razor Leaf, Poison Leaf, Vine Whip, Poison Scent, etc. to dodge or hit back. Every second Wartortle's health got worse, and when it reached the lowest point, Bellsprout finished the match with an energy ball. The audience made a lot of noise for the spectacular performance shown by Bellsprout and Wartortle. The large screen and a talented commentator made the viewing experience more fun. You did great, Wartortle. Jill called back Wartortle and released Pikachu, who began setting up a double team. Aoki knew for a fact that in this entire tournament, no one could surpass the speed of her Pikachu if he didn't release Pidgey. Aoki knew that Bellsprout cannot hit Pikachu normally and a strategy had to be used. The level of Stun Spore was not enough to paralyze Pikachu. Moving too much will bring me trouble. A large part of the field has a lot of water, moving into that with an electric Pokemon is a suicide. Grass-type Pokemon are, although not immune to an electric type, they have high resistance against it. I have to use that trick. Sweet Scent and Poison Powder has to do the work. Bellsprout, move to your left and use anti-electric setup and try Powder, Sweet Scent and Sleep Power and Poison Power. Bellsprout heard him and stood in one place, making his root-like feet do deep into the ground. The combination of three kinds of powder was only possible when he was standing still. Bellsprout closed his eyes and took a deep breath while starting circulating energy into the leaves, which act as his arms. Pikachu released thunderbolts from all directions, but all of them were rendered useless as it was transferred to the earth due to the anti-electric setup created by Bellsprout. Pikachu Quick Attack. Pikachu turned into a flash and reached the Bellsprout, but his head was slammed by a poison-clad leaf, applying poison status to him. Aoki found that when the three types of powders were combined, it created an illusion-like field a few centimeters around Bellsprout, making him look larger than he actually is. Pikachu's quick attack just narrowly missed Bellsprout due to that illusion effect, giving Bellsprout another hit. Pikachu continued his onslaught of quick attacks, Spark, Thunderbolt, Thundershock, Iron Tail, and Brick Break, but all of them were countered by Bellsprout. Aoki had commanded Bellsprout not to take initiative to attack but only to defend. The poison status would do the rest of the work. Bellsprout Sunny Day, Aoki commanded as he realized Pikachu's attack and speed was getting stronger and faster every second. This battle felt more difficult than the one against Wartortle, as Bellsprout was not able to get hits on Pikachu. He could regenerate stamina using Sunny Days and the water present in the field, but his health was going down as he could not use Giga Drain due to Pikachu attacking from afar. In spite of all these, the one at disadvantage was rather Pikachu, whose condition was getting worse. It felt like Jill wanted to finish the match as fast as possible but didn't seem to realize the fact that the more Pikachu moved, the faster the poison spread. In the junior and intermediate stages of a Pokemon, poison-type attacks are very effective due to their less natural resistance. This is why Pokemon like Akans and Koffing are banned as starters due to their highly toxic poison. Poison-type Pokemons are not completely immune to their own poison too, so poison-type attacks cannot be used recklessly as they may backfire. The fact that Bellsprout was able to use poison-type moves so effortlessly, made the organizers and Professor Oak very impressed. One of the reasons why Jill was losing was that in both the rounds she made the mistake of getting too close to Bellsprout. If her Pokémons maintained some distance and attacked, the outcome might have been different. The battle went on for a few more minutes before Pikachu fell due to excessive poisoning. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our winner, Aoki from Orange Town. The stadium filled with cheers for both Aoki and Jill for an amazing battle. Jill and Aoki shook hands and promised to battle once again. Aoki could see sadness and frustration in Jill's eyes for losing. She is holding back tears. You are strong, Jill, keep doing your best and you'll be stronger than ever. Best of luck for your future. Jill took it in a positive way and thanked Aoki with a thin smile. Unknown to Aoki, because of him a lot of trainers are going to start training their own Bellsprout trying to imitate his movements. Yay! In a house in Orange Town, Aoki's parents were hugging each other happily. Our son won. Did you see that our son won? His mom cheered happily. Yes, I am proud of our son. Aoki's father came out of his house and clapped his hands to attract the attention of the customers. The boy that won the tournament is my son. For the celebration of his victory, today the food in on the house. In the Williams household, Misty's father saw his daughter win and smiled. Misty's sisters Daisy, Violet, and Lily saw their father smiling and were freaked out as they don't often see their father, but they were happy for Misty nonetheless. Aira, seems like our Misty did quite well, a blonde-haired woman who watched the telecast said. Mom, let's have a party in her name. Sure, we can have that later. Don't you three have any work at the gym? There was no gym match scheduled today, Daisy answered. If that's the case, party it is then. Currently, the Cerulean gym was handled by the sensational sisters who took training from their father for the Pokémon battle to pass the evaluation. Initially, 3 of them had no interest in being the gym leader as they were mostly busy with their famous mermaid show that attracts audiences from all over the Kanto region, but they had to do it. The only reason their father was handing the gym to them was that Misty was immature and not ready to become a gym leader yet. Seems like letting her leave the house was a good idea as she appeared to have more mature than when she left. In a house in Pallet Town. A boy with his Pikachu watched the final match with excitement in their eyes. You saw that, Pikachu? We will become strong like that, no stronger than that. Pie. Pikachu looked excited for a moment hearing that, but the next second turned his face away to ignore the boy. Come on, Pikachu, I thought we made up. Don't ignore me like that. As the boy tried more to make his Pikachu not ignore him, the room to his door was opened by a woman. Dinner is ready, Ash, come down. Coming, Mom. Chapter 13, Unexpected Gains. Jill, love life. I was born a commoner and lived in a neighborhood of rich people. That didn't stop me from making friends. At the time I started my journey I had the entire locality as my friend. Out of all of them, there was someone I loved who loved my back too. He is one of the best people I have ever met. He is both amazing as a person and as a trainer. He is someone from a very influential family that has low male members. So in the future, he must marry someone from his family to keep the bloodline pure and give birth to a male heir. His family decided to get my childhood friend who was from the same family and too liked him to marry in the future. He argued back that there was in no way he would leave me. That touched my heart. I was ready to be with him even if I had to share him with someone else. I know him from when we were just kids, he would love both of his partners equally if I get with him. As I was a commoner, I was given a chance. My father died when I was young, so I was raised by my mother who had a decent job. But with the money we had, I had very less hope of becoming a good trainer as it required a lot of funds. That time, his family proposed a deal taking into consideration of my boyfriend's feelings. They would provide me with a Royal Kanto starter, a lot of money, and resources. Using those resources I had to become a strong trainer worthy of my boyfriend. My first chance was to win this tournament, but seems like I was lacking in many factors. My boyfriend saw my match and was very happy with me. Although I lost, I will not give up. Alex, I would do anything to reach you. After all the fights were over, a stage was made on which stood the top 3 contestants. The cash rewards had already been transferred to their account while the Pokeballs would be given after the award ceremony. 3 of them were given trophies by Professor Oak himself, which got another round of applause and cheers from the audience. Professor Oak shook hands with each of them and gave them some words of encouragement. The ceremony ended with a group and individual pictures with Professor Oak. Winning this tournament will be added to their trainer profile as an achievement. Aoki asked Misty to wait in the hotel as he wanted to have a private talk with Professor Oak. In Oak's room. Congratulations again for winning the tournament, Aoki, I never expected you could take Bellsprout to this level without evolving. Aoki thanked him for the praise and brought the topic of the main discussion. He opened his bag and pulled out a copy and handed it to Professor Oak, which had the title Evolutions. Aoki took a gamble on the nature of the creator of Pokédex, Professor Oak. If he is truly the research maniac as people say, he will help me. In the current world, only 3 evolutions of Eevee were discovered, namely Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon. What Aoki gave Oak was the method to evolve Eevee to Umbreon, Espeon, Glaceon, and Leafeon. Wow, you even named them. How did you get this concussion? Asked Oak, amazed by the detailed description he gave in order to evolve Eevee. Eevee was one the most interesting and talked about Pokemon due to it having 3 branches of evolution. Seeing such a detailed description of the evolution of Eevee, Oak's interest was piqued. He had never thought that a trainer would be able to think like that. Seeing the confidence in Aoki's eyes, he began reading carefully what was given in the notes, which started to make a lot of sense. Oaks had a wide smile at the end of the reading session. I had an interest in research since childhood, so I always observed the Pokemon around me. Some of the most interesting topics I found was the evolution line of Eevee. I saw the evolution of Eevee into Flareon and Vaporeon in front of my eyes and wondered if Eevee can evolve after getting in touch with fire, water, and electric type energy, why not other types? I had read reports that Leaf Stone cannot evolve Eevee, but I think that the energy provided by Leaf Stone is not enough. That is why I searched for various methods to increase the energy in their body. Interesting, very interesting. So you want me to conduct this research, and if it comes true, publish a research paper along with help? Said Oak. Yes, you got that right, said Aoki. Very well, I have a lot of Eevees at my reserve, I shall do this research and inform you. I don't mind helping a new researcher, said Oak with a gentle smile. Unknown to Aoki, his gamble turned out to be a fortune. Oak was indeed a research maniac. Oak always tries to find new branches to research, forgetting everything. Professor, I have more theories that need some more testing. I hope you can help with that, said Aoki. He planned to release information about King's Rock, the evolution of Magmar, Electabuzz, and Radon when he becomes famous enough, as he was just using Professor to make a path for him. He planned to release the information about Fairy Type 2 would be the biggest reveal of the decade that can come later on. Interesting, he has shown the talent to raise Pokemon and research. If he keeps this up, I will not mind helping him more, just like that kid Bill. That time I made the right choice by giving my full support to Bill, which turned out to be a huge success. Sigh, if only I knew about Aoki earlier, I could have nurtured him to be a researcher, Oak thought. In reality, Oak cared more about researchers than trainers. He even asked his grandchildren multiple times to take the path of researcher, but didn't pressurize them to take that path. Now seeing that a trainer with talent shows interest in research, Oak could not be happier. It was a mistake on my part that you didn't get a royal starter, but as a repayment, I will try out the method you mentioned. Something interesting might come out of it. Thank you for his Aoki, I shall contact you when if I found your hypothesis working. Thank you for your help, Professor. Don't worry about it, just keep working hard in the future. Aoki bid farewell to Professor Oak after getting his number on his Pokédex. My emergency stock is empty. Since I had enough money, let's go on a shopping spree. Taking out a Pokeball, he called out Bellsprout. Come on Bellsprout, let's go shopping. I will buy you anything you like. Bellsprout happily hummed and climbed up to Aoki's shoulder. He entered a Pokemart and brought some medicines like Full Heal, Max Portions, Super Portions, etc., spending a large portion of the money he got from the event. Pokemon Marts are generally multi-purpose stores that give good discounts to the ones with league membership and more discounts if they are master or elite trainers. It was a section where the new edition of the books was kept, and one book, in particular, caught his eye, which was getting sold very fast even at night. I should take a copy too, Misty will be glad seeing this. He brought some extra pairs of clothes and running shoes too. There were bicycles too, but they cost a lot and Aoki didn't need them now. There was a snacks section from where he brought some things for Bellsprout and Pidgey. As he exited the mart, it was already near 10 p.m. From the corner of his eye, he saw his opponent Nate, who he fought in the semi-finals, going into the West Forest of Vividian City in a foul mood. Hey, I have nothing to do, so let's follow him for a while. Aoki decided to follow him with Bellsprout on his shoulder for an emergency. Pidgey was a little moody for not using her in the match, so he left her with Misty with her favorite food. Chimchar was walking beside Nate, kicking and punching every wild Pokemon that came on his way. At least they were smart enough not to use too many fire moves in a dense forest. Aoki kept walking till he reached deep into the forest. Nate released Charmander, who was instantly kicked by Chimchar. You fucking idiot, you dare you to lose to those insects. Can't you win even a single match? Do you know how much money I invested into you, you waste? He kept kicking Charmander till it started bleeding. You made me and my family lose so much face. You couldn't even defeat the Pokemon of the bitch who had already lost, you filth. Neither can you follow commands nor can you do anything on your own. What type of fire dragon are you that cannot even muster dragon-type energy? You are not even worthy of calling trash. Charmander looked at him with anger-filled eyes, which made Nate more pissed. What are you looking at me like that for? It's your fault that you lost. Get lost from my sight and die somewhere. I don't need you. Nate dropped the Pokeball of Charmander and broke it into bits. Chimchar growled at Charmander and punched the already weak body of Charmander into a tree, causing a small explosion. See, this is the difference between someone useful and filth. Chimchar has already learned Fire Punch mid-battle while you can't even use proper fire moves. Don't show me your face ever again. Nate growled as he started leaving, muttering under his breath, Kanto Royal Starter my ass. When both of them were gone, Charmander started crying, after all, the physical and mental pain he suffered. Seeing Charmander cry, something broke under Bellsprout's heart. He realized how different both of them were in treatment. He realized how lucky he was. Although when training his trainer became a devil, but normally he was showered with love and affection. The world is unfair, Bellsprout. Some start strong like Chimchar while some start weak like Charmander, who needs support to become strong. Some can learn this naturally while some need help to learn. Feeling of being abandoned is cruel, Aoki thought. Cruelty is everywhere. Not everyone sees Pokemons as friends and companions. Some see them as disposable objects while some see them as tools for fame. I don't blame him. Everyone has their own ideals. In the end, for a person like him, winning is everything. The history and laws are written by the winner after all. There is nothing such as right or wrong, there never was, it was always the ideals of the winner that the weak followed. Bellsprout looked at Aoki as if asking what he was going to do. We are taking him under our wing. In spite of everything, I will do what I deem as right. I will make him strong. He is a dragon whose pride will keep him alive. His thirst for power will make him keep growing. If manipulating emotions can give me a companion who I can trust, I will do it. Bellsprout, go use sleep power on Charmander, Aoki muttered softly. Charmander didn't realize when Bellsprout came near him and used sleep powder. As soon as Charmander fell asleep, he touched him with a Pokeball, catching him. As Charmander's Pokeball was broken, he was able to enter a new Pokeball. Aoki immediately scanned the data of Charmander with his Pokédex. Name, Charmander. Type, Fire. Species, Lizard Pokemon. Gender, Male. Ability, Blaze. Stage, Junior. Moves, Growl, Scratch, Ember, Smokescreen, Flamethrower, Dragon Breath, Dragon Tail, Work Up, Sunny Day, Iron Tail. Pokédex entry: the flame that burns at the tip of its tail is an indication of its emotions. The flame wavers when Charmander is enjoying itself. If the Pokemon becomes enraged, the flame burns fiercely. Kanto starter acquired. I don't have to go after Ash's Charmander anymore. Aoki was not surprised to see the number of moves learned by Charmander, as most of them came from TMS. The only moves he knew Charmander could do were the first 5. What luck! I will try to heal Charmander by myself. Going to the Pokemon Center will be a hassle now. In the hotel he told Misty everything. She was fuming after hearing the story but calmed down as Charmander was now safe. Aoki took out Charmander, applied super potion and applied some pain reliever to him, and bandaged his wounds. He laid Charmander on his lap and began petting him softly. Charmander was awoken with a warm feeling and gentle touches he always wanted to feel. The moment he opened his eyes he found that he was inside an unfamiliar room. Charmander began to panic but felt the warm touch again. "Shhh, don't worry, you are safe, nobody will hurt you anymore," Aoki said softly as he patted the head of Charmander. Charmander looked above and saw the face of the person who saved him. The person who he lost against the person because of whom he was abandoned, the person who treated Bellsprout with love, the person who he could not get angry against, the person who he wished once was his trainer. Seeing that his injuries were healed and bandages on his body, everything was clear to him. Without his control, tears started dropping from his eyes. "You are safe with me, Charmander, you can trust me, right, Bellsprout? Bellsprout nodded and released a sweet scent that calmed down Charmander. Aoki fed Charmander some food with a spoon and let him sleep for the day. Misty was touched by the scene that she witnessed. She approached Aoki and planted a kiss on his cheek. This is the reward for winning the tournament and saving Charmander. Since I won the event, I win the challenge, right? Said Aoki with a smile as he looked her in the eye. Yes, you win. I have no experience of being in a relationship, but if it's you I don't mind giving it a try, said Misty as her face became red. I promise you that you won't regret it, Miss Pervert. How did you know? I have very sharp observation skills, you know. I even know about your collection that you try so hard to hide. And I know that you are not satisfied with one kiss, said Aoki as he pulled her close and connected his lips with her. Mhhh. Misty's eyes widened as she found Aoki's tongue invading her mouth, but she had lost control over her body and could not resist. Finally, Aoki released Misty, leaving her on overdrive mode from pleasure. Ha! That was too soon, ask me first before doing something like that. You liked it, don't you? Yes. Creator's thoughts. Immortal_Diablo 123 Immortal_Diablo 123. Creation is hard, cheer me up. Like it? Add to library. Comment. 17 comment. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 14, Vividian Forest -1. Nate, life is a race. People say life is a race, you must keep running to get as far as possible. If you can't run, walk, you can't rank crawl. I say that's bullshit. If you can't run, you shouldn't run in the race. The only people who can run have the right to live. After spending quite a while in darkness, I knew that strength is everything. The weak have no right to give their opinion and do what the strong say. So I decided to become strong. Stronger than every trainer, stronger than the Elite Four, stronger than my father. For that I need strong Pokemon on my team, weak Pokemons are nothing but trash. I thought that fate was with me when I got Chimchar, who dominated every battle that he participated in. Then I got a Charmander from the professor from the Kanto region. I chose him because I thought a Pokemon with a dragon bloodline would be strong, but oh my, how wrong I was. That trash was a disgrace in the name of the dragon. He can't follow commands like Chimchar, can't use moves in spite of me feeding him T.ms, and can't even put up a fight. Finally, I snapped when he lost to a filthy plant that he couldn't get a single hit on. Utter disappointment. Although Chimchar lost, he didn't humiliate me and took down that piece of plant. Chimchar was not my first Pokemon. Years ago I had a Starly. I loved him more than anything, fed him, took care of him, trained him, and did everything. I too was a trainer that had dreams to one day become a top-ranked trainer and earn fame, but everything went crashing down on me the day a wild Pokemon attacked. That bastard who I fed, took care of, trained, and shared my dreams with ran away without looking back. Because he was weak. I was powerless without my Pokemons, I ran as far as I could but still could not escape. The wild Pokemon scratched and chomped down on me while I was struggling. That day I realized how weak and pathetic I was. Love? Kindness? All those are worthless emotions. What is the use of love if you are weak? If not for my butler coming in time, I would have died, forgotten like the passage of time. I don't need people who are weak in my life. That incident changed my life. Though most of my injuries and broken bones healed, the scars still remained that remind me every day that the weak had no right to live. Don't know why, but a line always surfaces in my mind said by someone: if you want to live strong, cut off every weakness in your life. Be it emotions, people, or even your beliefs. I would remember that trainer, Aoki. Not only because he was the one to give me my first official defeat but also helped me cut the trash out of my life. After that loss, I found out where I lack, so I decided to go easy on that orange-haired girl and dropped out of the tournament. People would say I am cruel, a worthless bastard, but I don't care. I don't care what happens to Charmander. Whether he dies, lives, or begs someone to take him, I don't care. The weak have no right to complain. Vividian City. Night. Hey Misty, I got a gift for you. What gift? Aoki took out the book he brought and held it in front of Misty. Her eyes widened after seeing the cover of the book. Where did you get that? It's the latest volume of the Erotic Tales with Detailed Illustrations edition. So basically porn. Misty immediately closed her mouth, realizing what she did. Come on, no need to hide, I know your secret. I know what you carry in your bag that you rarely take out. I brought this book based on one of the books that you carry. Misty's face became red as Aoki basically revealed everything she hid. Those are just for entertainment. Entertainment, what about the times when you stare at me at specific places, or what about the time when you carry some of these books to the washroom and take a lot of time? That. I know you are a pervert from the first day we met. So don't worry about it. I am no one to judge. Misty snatched the book from Aoki's hands and finally accepted her defeat and revealed her perverted nature. She opened her bag and revelated the erotic magazines she was carrying, and most of them were pretty costly. Please don't tell anyone I have these. And moreover, I only look at you and none else. I promise that I am not telling anyone. Now that you are my girlfriend, I don't mind fulfilling some fantasies for you. Hey! That's too soon that. Just like that, the night passed with both of them having some fun and talking. Aoki and Misty stayed in Vividian City for 3 more days before deciding to leave. Aoki rechecked his supplies and decided to buy another trademark for Protect. Their next destination was Pewter City, which had 2 main routes to reach from Vividian City. They could take a route that has 5 small towns and a long route, or go through Route 2 and Vividian Forest, which was shorter than the first one. Both the routes were longer than expected, with the latter being the most dangerous and the former being the safest. Misty came to Vividian City before using the first route on her bike. Misty wanted to avoid going through the Vividian Forest due to her fear of bugs, but Aoki reassured her that he would ensure that no bugs came near her. Aoki had browsed through the missions available for rangers and chose the one to catch 3 beedrills and collect beedrill honey. The Vividian was one of the most dangerous places in the region of Kanto. It was a large forest home to wild Pokémon up to the master ranks. Sometimes even elite rank Pokémon can be seen. Due to the danger the forest possesses, a specific route is to be followed if they want to reach Pewter City safely, avoiding those strong Pokémon. In this forest, Pokémon like Caterpillar, Weedle, Pidgey, Pico, Ekans, Scyther, Pinsir, Venonat, Oddish, etc. can be found. Some say that even Bulbasaur can be found deep within the forest, but no one wants to take the risk of angering the Venusaur community, who are said to be the main rulers of this forest. A lot of people still go in search of Bulbasaur but never return back. Aoki had planned to make his Pidgey eat a lot of bug Pokémon before breaking into intermediate rank. Bug Pokémon was a typical diet of bird Pokémons that was abundant in this forest. Aoki expected that Misty would refute Pidgey eating wild Pokémons, but she had no problem, as she has seen wild Pokémon eating each other since her childhood. Before going to Vividian Forest they had to pass through Route 2, which was around 10 kilometers. This area had very few wild Pokémon, which made it an ideal spot for training Pokémon. Aoki brought out Bellsprout and started his training for Solar Beam and Bullet Seed. He released his Pidgey and challenged every trainer there till afternoon. Everyone here had seen Aoki's match and wanted to try their luck against his second Pokémon that he didn't reveal in the tournament. Seeing the size of Pidgey, some people even assumed that it was Pidgeotto. It was fun seeing junior rank Pokémon thrashing intermediate rank Pokémon. Pidgey had weights on the entire time, which made him work harder to win. Pidgey had enough energy to evolve to Pidgeotto, but Aoki told them to suppress it till she learned Steel Wing. In the end, he made around 5k Pokedolls and gave Pidgey a good battle experience. Misty didn't sit idly and trained her Pokémon too in a water source nearby that came from Vividian Forest. Out of all the trainers present there, no one wanted to go through the Vividian Forest. Some trainers were confident in their training, but after participating in the tournament and fighting Aoki today, their confidence was severely broken. Most of the trainers here were from a common background, so they didn't have a lot of resources to raise their Pokémon, so they wished to take the safer route to Pewter City. Every year almost 50% of the trainers give up around the second gym, while 25% around the other gyms. Only 20 to 30% manage to reach the Pokémon League. They entered the Vividian Forest after another day of training and set up a camp there after walking for a while. The forest was filled with tall trees and long grass with constant sounds of insects chirping. Many places were dark as the trees made a canopy, giving it an eerie vibe. Aoki and Misty had changed their attire to a full shirt and jeans as they were going to the forest where there were a lot of insects and poisonous plants. Aoki ordered his Pokémon to repel every bug Pokémon. Pidgey was allowed to eat them, but Bellsprout was not, as it would do no good to him. He was allowed to try if he could suck the poison from them. A lot of bug Pokémon were attracted by the scent of Aoki's food, which was successfully repelled. Aoki took out a bottle of Super Repel and sprayed it everywhere so bugs would stay away for a while. He took out the Pokeball of Charmander and released him. Charmander, after coming out, looked everywhere curiously, Aoki took out a plate and gave him food that was made to cure his malnutrition first. Charmander, who was known for his immense pride, got devastated after his trainer abandoned him. Aoki became the support he needed. Flashback to the day before. Charmander watched the clash between Pidgey and Bellsprout, gritting his teeth with frustration. Time to truly get him on my side. Hey Charmander, do you want to become strong? Aoki said, standing in front of Charmander, blocking his vision from the fight. Charmander turned his attention towards Aoki, who looked at him with determination in his eyes. I can make you strong, stronger than you could ever imagine. Your trainer abandoned you because you were weak. Don't you want to prove not him to him but to yourself that you are not weak? Don't you want to make him regret his decision when he sees you again? Aoki could see the brightness his Charmander's eyes increase. See those two? They were even weaker than you 2 weeks ago, but under these 2 weeks, they have achieved that level. If you want to become strong, you will have to follow me, obey my every command, think as I want you to, eat as I want you to, and fight as I want you to, believe in me as I want you to. So Charmander, put your complete trust in me, I shall take you to the top. Boom! An explosion behind Aoki as Bellsprout and Pidgey clash, creating a dramatic effect. You will get only one chance. It's now or never. Will you take my help to become strong or struggle as your previous trainer wanted you to? The decision is yours to make. The fire in Charmander's eyes intensified as Aoki's words resonated inside his mind. I want to be strong, know the strongest Charizard out there. For that, I am ready to do anything, anything. Charmander came near Aoki, looking directly into his eyes, and kneeled before him, accepting his proposal. What are you doing? You are a proud dragon, don't you dare kneel before anyone. Even if you are dying, kneeling is not an option. Aoki forwarded his fist before Charmander. I don't need soldiers who just follow my commands, I need companions who I can trust my back to. So Charmander, are you willing to become that for me? A smile bloomed on Charmander's face as he forwarded his claws to meet Aoki's, doing a fist bump. Good to have you on the team, buddy. This is how Charmander officially became one of Aoki's team members who was going to shake the world in the future. Another reason was that Charmander had joined Nate a few days ago, so his bond was not so strong with him. Not everyone was like Aoki and his Pokemon. After eating Aoki's food, the eyes of Charmander lit up as he hungrily devoured everything and looked toward Aoki, asking for more. Before today, Aoki only has him purely nutritious food, which was good but not as tasty as his normal food. But from today onwards, he will be tasting Aoki's real food. Charmander gave the expected reaction after eating the new dish, which made Bellsprout and Pidgey give a wide smile. Misty saw this scene and muttered, another one bites the dust. After a tasty lunch, Aoki started teaching Charmander his version of calm mind and breathing exercises. Every trainer had their specialty, so Misty didn't ask Aoki to teach her that. Aoki noted that Charmander didn't have proper control over his fire energy and no control over dragon-type energy. He decided to focus on fire-type energy and started teaching him with slow instructions. It would take around 2 days for Charmander to return to a healthy condition. Until then, Aoki decided to train Charmander only in energy and confidence training. Chapter 15, Vividian Forest -2. A day had passed since Aoki had entered the Vividian Forest. Just as the rumors said, this place was annoying. There were plants that made rashes grow all over his hands, insects that were everywhere in his food, and uneven surfaces hidden with tall grass making him stumble every step. There were even traps set up by the wild Pokemons which were not hard but annoying to deal with. After traveling till the afternoon, they decided to set up their camp where Aoki started to train his Pokemon. Bellsprout, see, this is how you train newbie. Pidgey, yes, be sure to follow your seniors. Charmander, grr. Just you two wait, I am going to train hard and become his ace Pokemon. Bellsprout, sure, beat me and elder sister Pidgey first before I can make out some of the things that they are talking about, and seems like Charmander is getting teased. Now about my next actions. Aoki at one point decided to get Scyther, but he planned but decided against it, as most of the species of Scyther would be at the top of the intermediate rank. He might have gotten a chance if Charmander was stronger, but without fire-type Pokemon, fighting against Scyther was a suicide. Moreover, there was little chance that he would find a single Scyther, as those species lived in groups. Only a leader who has lost his position would be alone, and he was not confident in fighting an ex-leader. If by mistake he provoked the Scyther community, it would not take long for him and his Pokemons to become sliced meat. Even a junior level Scyther was enough to take their life in seconds. Aoki made Charmander attack different Pokémons with Ember and Flamethrower to increase his proficiency while giving continuous instructions. Charmander was terrible at energy control and following instructions. Almost all his attacks missed or did less damage than intended, but Aoki did not lose patience. Every time Charmander made a mistake, his fear of getting beaten up would return, but Aoki would gently point out his mistakes and tell him to try again while encouraging him more. Every time Charmander did a good as per his expectations, he would praise him and give him some energy replenishing food. Slowly, after training him in energy and moves, he stifled to battle against the weakest bug Pokémons. Charmander got plenty of praise for defeating bug Pokémon from Misty too, as creeped out every time a bug Pokémon appeared. Aoki looked towards the map of the forest and found a pond where Misty's next target could be found, which was a Poliwag. He drew a picture of a Poliwag and showed it to Pidgey and asked her to find a Pokémon that looked similar to this, while he tasked Bellsprout to find species of Gloom and eat them for a breakthrough. They walked around various ponds but didn't find any Poliwag, but Misty was not discouraged and wanted to look more. Bit by bit 3 days passed out of 10, which was the average time that it takes to cover the Vividian Forest. Bellsprout, after getting overflowing energy, broke through to intermediate rank and was ready for evolution, but stopped it as he had not learned Solar Beam and Bullet Seed yet. Same for Pidgey, who held his evolution till she learned Steel Wing after continuously clashing against rocks and large trees. Aoki and Misty became close during this time and even started sharing a single tent for sleeping. Aoki made sure to spray plenty of repels around their tents before sleeping and let his Pokémon sleep outside their Pokeballs for extra protection. For Misty, Aoki was the perfect boyfriend who was not only a good trainer but also made the perfect food. She enjoyed his company a lot. Charmander had warmed up to Misty too and recognized her as Aoki's woman. Misty got to know about his research and was amazed by many of his theories. But she decided to get a Vaporeon if she even got an Eevee due to her love for water Pokémon. Aoki had decided to get himself a Sylveon, that would be the last proof he would need before releasing the paper about fairy type. Just like Aoki's food, Misty had gotten addicted to Aoki's kiss, which Aoki happily gave her. As they walked along the main road shown on the map, they came across some trainers and people that had come to gather resources from the forest. As the bug Pokémon along the main road are generally weak, Aoki saw various wooden houses with people living within them. Aoki came across various bug catchers and challenged all of them with his Charmander. So far the most difficult battle was against a bug catcher named Samurai that had an intermediate rank pincer. Charmander as expected lost, but Aoki encouraged him for giving his best and leave the rest to his companions. Aoki wondered if he was the one that challenged Ash to a battle. Aoki asked him where did he get the pincer, as pincer was one of the most brutal bug Pokémons. He told that pincer hatched from an egg his parents brought for him. He had a Kakuna and a Metapod too. He seemed like a good guy, so Aoki invited him for lunch. It was the 4th day that they found a group of Poliwag swimming in a large pond led by a Poliwhirl. Misty approaches them and asks if one of them would like to come with her and promises her training. One of them approaches Misty and asks Misty for a battle. She sends out her Staryu and defeats a Poliwag that came forwards. This made the Poliwag recognize Misty's strength and decided to join her. Poliwag bids farewell to his group and leaves with Misty. Aoki decided to complete his ranger mission. I would be going to the Beedrill community to complete my ranger mission. Wait for me here. You recognize these, right? Aoki said, showing a cylindrical object. Signal flare. Yes, if things go downhill I would fire this. If you see this, run. Hell no, if you get chased by the Beedrill community, I am not abandoning you alone to run, she said. Thanks for the thought, but you should prioritize your safety first. I am still now leaving you alone. Sigh, fine. Be prepared for a fight then. Beedrill is known to attack anyone that comes into its territory. Aoki's 3 Pokémon fought a hard battle against the Beedrill community and defeated all of them one by one. Let's get this over with, Aoki thought as he went deeper into the forest. Pidgey, search for a Beedrill nest. Bellsprout, Charmander, stay near me. It took around 20 minutes for Pidgey to return with the sighting of a Beedrill nest. Although everyone, remember the strategy. If we fail we can even die, so remember that. Aoki reached near the area and found a large Beedrill nest under a large tree. There were around 8 Beedrills near the nest with a lot of Kakunas hanging from the tree. Aside from that were around 10 Weedles in that area. Seems like the Weedles are out for some reason. Let's start. Bellsprout, run fast and use Sweet Scent and Sleep Powder. Charmander, Flamethrower and Ember, just as I taught you. Pidgey, full power Gust and Whirlwind. Make sure that wind and fire mix together. Go. The attack took the Beedrill community by surprise and one of them went down in the first wave of attack. Kakuna was useless in battle, so the only fighting teams were the Beedrills and Weedles. Aoki's Pokémons continued their onslaught and were able to finally defeat all the Beedrills and Weedles. The combination of Flamethrower and Gust was a deadly combo for the bugs. Aoki collected all the honey and caught 3 Beedrills in a Pokeball before leaving. He didn't kill anyone there as compensation. Should I keep one for myself? Nah, not worth it. It's good for a short-term investment but not so good for the long term. If I was looking forward to completing my Pokédex, I might have considered, but that was never my objective, to begin with. Aoki only decided to fight the Beedrill community because he had Charmander. Bellsprout and Pidgey also praised Charmander for his contribution and firepower, increasing his confidence more. That day all of them had food based on delicious Beedrill honey which was liked by everyone. Poliwag had fairly warmed up to Misty and started training with her other Pokémon too. After almost 12 days of walking, they finally got out of the forest. Misty sighed in relief as she didn't have to see bugs anymore. After walking for another hour and battling some wild Pokémon, they reached a small town named Leaf Town. On the way to this town, they came across large fields where various crops were grown. It was a good change from the constant forest. Although this town didn't have a Pokémon Center, it had a league office that maintained the security of the town. As usual, they booked a single room after paying the full price as this hotel was not owned by the league. They decided to stay in the town for a day before leaving for Pewter City, which was around 10 kilometers from here. Are you sure those are the targets? Asked a man with a black t-shirt and red R logo. Yes, those two won the tournament and are known to have pretty strong Pokémons. If we can get them, our rank can increase. Said another man with the same t-shirt. We will wait till the night and enter through the hotel window. Yes. Chapter 16, Team Rocket. Aoki and Misty freshen themselves and start exploring the town together. Walking while holding a girl's hand was a nice feeling for Aoki. With Misty's reaction she enjoyed it too. The town was not too big and constrained medium-size houses with plenty of open spaces. They came across a park where they saw children playing with a Piku and Oddish. They sat on a bench in the park and enjoyed some stillness from constant walking. The children saw that 2 people sat on the bench and asked if they had any Pokémon to play with. Both of them released their Pokémons except Pidgey, who was tasked with surveying the surroundings. The children were amazed to see so many Pokémon in one place for the first time. Moreover, all the Pokémons were cute, which made the children happy. Out of the total area in the Kanto region, only 30% was human-occupied while the rest was occupied by Pokémons. Wild Pokémons generally avoid human settlements unless something major happens. It was fun seeing their Pokémon running around happily with the children. At one point the parents came to pick up their children and witnessed them playing with many Pokémon. Are you by chance Aoki? One of the mothers asked. Yes, that's me, ma'am. Can I please get your autograph? My son became a fan of yours after watching your match and even started to love his Bellsprout more. Aoki gave his autograph on a piece of paper to the lady. Seeing this, many of the other parents did the same. This gave Aoki a chance to ask some things about the town. Aoki learned from them that this town was recently built for trainers who traveled from the Vividian Forest to take a rest. This is why not a lot is known about this town. Seems like you became a celebrity, Aoki. How does it feel? Feels great. If you keep working hard, I am sure that will be famous too. In the evening, Misty and Aoki returned to their hotel taking back their Pokémons. Pidgey informed Aoki about something which hampered his peaceful life. Misty, we have some trouble coming in our way. In the night when everyone in the town was asleep, 2 Team Rocket grunts started climbing the hotel where Misty and Aoki stayed. One of them had a Butterfree that had put the guards to sleep. This Pokémon is often used by criminals as it was one of the Pokémons who was best at putting people and Pokémon to sleep. They could enter by unlocking the door, but the locks were more difficult to crack than entering through the window. Moreover, the weather was in their favor as the sky was covered with clouds, making it complete darkness around. They peeked inside the room and found that Misty and Aoki were asleep. Moreover, their eyes shone seeing a sleeping Charmander and Staryu. Jackpot, he muttered. The other one released a Beedrill who broke the lock in the window, making very small holes. As soon as both of them entered the room, they found that something held them in their place. Shit, we were discovered. One of them panicked and ordered high Pokémons to attack Aoki and Misty, but found that their Pokémon gave no response. Boom! The sound of something crashing reached their ears. The sleeping Charmander opened his menacing eyes and dashed towards the men who were held by stun, spore and confusion. His tail claws glowed white as he used slash towards both of them, making them drop to the ground with pain. Charmander, that's enough. Sturyu use hypnosis. That was game over for both of them as they fell prey to Sturyu's hypnosis. Misty and Aoki removed their blankets and praised their Pokémon for their help. Pidgey and Bellsprout entered the room carrying a fainted Butterfree and Beedrill. A few hours back, Pidgey informed Aoki and Misty that someone has been following them since they entered the town. So he ordered Pidgey and Bellsprout to wait on the roof and attack the Pokémon they see, while Charmander and Sturyu attacked whoever enters the room. They had to sacrifice their sleep, but it was worth it. Misty, call the hotel management, I will search their bodies. He checked the Pokémon and the attackers and found 3 more Pokeballs that he didn't open and a bunch of IDs with different names, and one of those IDs made him realize their identity. Who do we have here? Team Rocket. Hey! I didn't expect to come to their radar so soon. A while later, some hotel staff, a police officer, and the league member who managed the hotel came to pick up the Team Rocket members. People are trying to steal my Pokémon at the Building of Alliance even after all the security. I want my money back, said Aoki to the hotel manager. This. They were speechless but had to agree to Aoki's demands as it was their carelessness too. Aoki and Misty went black to sleep but didn't let their guard down and let their Pokémon. Early in the morning, Aoki woke up due to a knock on the door. He opened the door and saw a hotel staff member with a worried face. What happened? There is a problem in the town, you are the only trainer present now. Please follow us to the roof. Aoki woke up Misty and asked her to follow him. If he has woken up early in the morning, something major must have happened. On the roof, Aoki saw more people and one of them was the hotel manager. Misty was not a morning person, so she somehow followed after Aoki in a daze, but all her sleep went away after seeing the scene from the roof of the hotel. Almost the entire town was covered in fog and pink flower petals. What is happening? Misty looked around but could not find the reason. The staff member gave Misty and Aoki 2 binoculars and pointed in a specific direction. The houses at the far end of the town, which were on the route that connected to Vividian Forest, were broken apart by 2 large green monsters. Are those Venusaurs, Aoki? Yeah, seems like they are enraged. They were coming towards the town while breaking everything on the way. From their level of energy control that can cover the entire town, they are no less than master rank. Shit. This is bad. Someone provoked the Venusaur community of the Vividian Forest. Aoki felt the matter was pretty serious. Venusaur line generally is pretty useful unless someone messes around with their territory or takes away their young ones forcefully. Provoking a master level Pokémon was equal to death if you didn't have any master level Pokémon. Moreover, there are 2 of them. If they are not stopped, the entire town would be destroyed by the time help comes. Misty and the others stood there speechless. Everyone, please listen carefully, I think I know the reason for this. Please cooperate and start removing the fog using flying-type Pokémons. Misty and Mr. Manager, please follow me. They left the hotel and burst into another league building where the Team Rocket members were held captive. The people inside were in a panic too and had started to pack their things to run as soon as possible. The manager made them cooperate and bring out the confiscated items. Aoki took the Pokeballs and released them one by one. Hope I am right or it will be troublesome. One by one came out Beedrill, Butterfree, and Akans that attacked Aoki as soon as they came out but were solved by his and Misty's Pokémon. Aoki clicked the last 2 Pokémon and what came was 2 baby Bulbasaurs who were too small to walk alone. Oi, seriously, they kidnapped Bulbasaurs from the Venusaur community, moreover they haven't even reached the training stage. No wonder the Venusaurs are enraged. Bellsprout, go carry these Bulbasaurs and gives them to the Venusaurs and tells them the complete story, told Aoki. Bellsprout as he carried Bulbasaur that looked all around curiously without knowing what was happening. Do you 2 realize what you did? Said Aoki towards the 2 Team Rocket members. Don't lecture us, brat. We members of Team Rocket are not scared of anything. Not scared of anything, right? Then let me show you what fear is. Pidgey, Charmander drags them to the Venusaurs. Remember, don't look them into the eyes and show your back to them. Hearing Aoki mentions Venusaur, all their confidence was washed away and replaced with fear. Everything clicked in their head why everyone was so agitated. 2 days ago they had caught 2 Bulbasaurs behind the back of the Venusaur community. It was said that never touch a Bulbasaur that is found in the wild, as Venusaurs are extremely protective of their children, but they threw away those warnings. Misty, be ready with our things, we are making a run if things do downhill. Roger. As Misty left, Aoki said to both of them, sorry but you 2 have to be sacrificed or else the town is getting destroyed. The Team Rocket members begged him to not do it and that they will do anything for him. Saur! Boom! One of the Venusaur roared as he was about to destroy another house but stopped midway seeing Bellsprout coming towards him holding 2 Bulbasaurs. Bellsprout began telling everything that happened till now. The female Venusaur calmed down after taking back her kids but the male Venusaur was not convinced and did not completely believe Bellsprout. But when Pidgey and Charmander came to the area holding 2 Team Rocket members who were screaming and throwing punches, the male Venusaur finally somewhat believed Bellsprout. Both Charmander and Pidgey said something which Aoki was too far to make out. 2 large vines emerged from Venusaur and curled around the 2 Team Rocket members. Crack! While making eye contact with Bellsprout, Pidgey, and Charmander, Venusaur snapped the hands of the Team Rocket members in the opposite direction. The Team Rocket members released a blood-curdling scream from the pain making a lot of people cover their eyes and ears. Aoki's Pokémons had no change in expression making Venusaur completely convinced that they were not involved. Saur! The male Venusaur gave a last look to Aoki and dopped the Team Rocket members who passed out from. What Aoki didn't expect was that the female Venusaur took out a yellow teardrop-shaped seed and gave it to Bellsprout before leaving. Aoki recognized that thing, it was a miracle seed that increased the power of grass-type moves. Phew, a disaster avoided. Aoki asked Bellsprout to hold that item, it will help him. Everyone sighed with relief after the Venusaurs left the town. Pidgey, good job buddy. Without you, the master would have gotten hurt. Bellsprout, praise me more. I am the great Bellsprout. Pidgey rolled her eyes and said, sure, the great Bellsprout. Asterisk. Somewhere in Pallet Town, a boy with a blue jacket and a Pokeball-themed cap was excited to start his journey to become a Pokémon master. On his shoulder was a Pikachu who was munching on a berry. He was Ash Ketchum who got his starter Pikachu and a Pokédex the same day as Aoki but decided to start his journey later on as his Pikachu didn't listen to his commands. After a few weeks, Pikachu had finally warmed up to him and started listening to him so he decided not to delay his journey any longer. Let's go Pikachu! Pika! Hey wait for me! Ash heard a familiar voice making him look back. Daisy! What are you doing here? I thought you left. Daisy Oak was the granddaughter of Professor Oak and the twin sister of Ash's old friend Gary. She was a beautiful girl with well-styled long dark brown hair. She wore a full-sleeve green shirt with a white jacket and black trousers. Why would I leave early dummy? I promised to travel with you right? Moreover, I will get bored traveling alone. You still have your dream of becoming a Pokémon master right? Same as you, I still retain my dream of becoming the best Pokémon groomer so let's travel together towards our dreams. Ash gave a wide smile hearing that. Good to have you back Daisy, let's travel together. Chapter 17, Road to Pewter City. The mayor of the town thanked Aoki for helping them to fend off the Venusaurs. It was good that there were no casualties in the attack. Aoki heard that there was someone in the past from a neighboring town who had angered the Venusaur community and the entire town was flattened to the ground. Scary, I am glad that we didn't come across any Bulbasaur in the Vividian Forest, Misty said. She already hated Vividian Forest because of large insects and bug Pokémons now she had a reason to be scared too. Aoki thought that these rocket members would be killed by Venusaur but they were spared after getting their hands broken. This reminded Aoki and Misty that they have to become stronger fast if they don't want to be in a tough situation like this. Aoki in his childhood once heard that one of the major cities of Kanto was demolished by wild Pokémon because someone provoked their community. In the afternoon Officer Jenny from another town arrived for investigation after getting a call from the Alliance. The 2 Team Rocket members were taken into custody by her. While they were at that job, Aoki decided to play with the Growlithe brought by Officer Jenny. First Growlithe was wary of Aoki but after a few scratches warmed up to Aoki. Seems like this Pokémon has not started to undergo the police force training yet. Seems like you are experienced in handling a Growlithe Aoki heard a voice from behind. He looked behind and saw a bursty dark green-haired woman wearing the uniform of the Kanto police force. It was Officer Jenny who came for the investigation. People often say that the girls from the Jenny clan look identical but on close look, they can be differentiated easily. Yes I am good at handling a Growlithe, I grew up with one after all. That's nice. I heard that you solved the problem trainer Aoki. You have my gratitude for doing this. You will be provided with money rewards for this which you can collect from the office in Pewter City. Officer Jenny said to Aoki. Thank you officer. Mention not. Now if I look closely I feel like I have seen you somewhere before. Ah! I remember. You are the winner of the recent Junior Cup, right? Yes, that's me. You have nice command on your Pokemon Aoki, keep that up. Say, do you want to join the police force? I can put in some good words for you. I appreciate the offer but I have to refuse, I am happy being a trainer. Is that so? Here is my number, if you need help with anything or decide to change your mind, feel free to call me. Thank you, Officer Jenny. Keep up the good work, trainer. Officer Jenny replied before leaving with her squad. My did a beautiful woman just gave you her number, someone from the Jenny clan at that. What a sinful man you are, Aoki. Misty said to Aoki. Aoki gave a nervous chuckle as he had no argument against that statement. Forget it, let's leave now. Our work here is done, Aoki said. Misty dropped the matter and agreed with him. The distance between Pewter City and this town was around 15 kilometers if they take the direct route and more if they take the route with wild Pokemons. Misty and Aoki decided to walk slowly and train their Pokemon on the way. Bellsprout had already learned to use Bullet Seed while the Solar Beam was almost done. Pidgey had nearly grasped the Steel Wing, which should be done today. Currently, the weakest of the three was Charmander, which Charmander knew. He wanted to be Aoki's ace Pokemon, so he always worked harder than the other two. Aoki with his food and care had completely changed the Charmander back from the tournament. He was not lenient but very strict with his Pokemon, but he rewarded them with plenty of food, compliments and encouragement to keep training. Over the years of spending time with his parents' Pokemon and wild Pokemon around his house, he could roughly tell the potential of a Pokemon by their learning and comprehension speed. In this team, Bellsprout was at the lowest of medium potential, Pidgey was top of medium potential and Charmander was around the lowest of high potential. Charmander's talent was expected as a royal starter, but he had really hit a jackpot with Pidgey. Not a single day passed that his Pokemon had stopped training. The breathing exercise and calm mind had shown effect, as all his Pokemons were always calm while facing an opponent. His Pokemons too loved Aoki, had the utmost trust in him, and were willing to follow his every order. Aoki applied similar weights on Charmander and started a session of physical training with them. According to Aoki, only after training with one's Pokemon can one truly enjoy being a Pokemon trainer. Charmander now had good control over the normal type and fire type moves, so now it was time to focus on dragon type moves. This Charmander had a large amount of dragon type energy that had completely suppressed his fire type energy. That is why he had difficulty in bringing out his power due to the suppressor dragon energy that he had no control over. Aoki stopped Charmander from using any type of energy except dragon for the next few days. Dragon-type energy was considered one of the strongest but had a major problem that it was incredibly difficult to control and harmonize with other energies. This is why it is incredibly hard to raise a Charizard who has Dragon-type blood in addition to the fire and flying typing. Many Charmeleons die due to losing control over their energy while evolving into Charizard. In the Kanto region, only a few people choose Charmander due to the difficulty in raising it. Most of the time Charmander refuses to listen to their trainer because he doesn't consider his trainer worthy enough, which made him the least popular starter among the three. Only a handful of Charmanders manage to reach their final stage, unlike the other two starters who have a quicker or easier growth phase. The same thing happened with Ash's Charmander when he evolved. Aoki ensured to mold all his Pokemon to respect and love him. Charmander's first task is to try manifesting Dragon-type energy as he did with the Flamethrower, which would be the base for Dragon Breath and Dragon Rage. Charmander already knew the basics of Dragon Breath, so it should be easy. His next task was to coat his claws and tail in Dragon-type energy. Charmander knew Iron Tail and Fire Claws, so he had to follow the same mechanism. He took a ranger mission to either catch or shoo away the Pokemon that were eating away the crops from the field. Aoki's Pokemon defeated a lot of Rattata, Raticate, Mankey, Spearow, etc. After 4 days of walking and training, they took the route that passed Tuffa Hill. There was rocky terrain in their way where they battled Geodudes, Onix that had not reached the proper height yet, Sandshrew, Sandslash, etc. Aoki caught some Sandslash and an Onix that a builder from Pewter City requested from the Rangers. Sandshrew line, Onix line, and Geodude line were famous for their usability in construction work. Once a big squad of Spearow led by 2 Fearows attacked them, but Misty and Aoki were able to successfully repel them without any major injury to their Pokemon. Aoki caught the 2 Fearows and decided to sell them. Selling Pokemon from the wild was not illegal, as trainers that are afraid to go into the wild can get a Pokemon. There was a list that included Pokemon which could be sold legally. Fearows were used as a means of transport, so they were legal. If Aoki went ahead and tried selling a Pidgeot, he would be questioned, as wild Pidgeot were extremely rare. This market was run by the Jenny family, who ensured a fixed price for a Pokemon and that the Pokemon being sold is healthy. They keep a Pokemon for a time period in the market. If they are not sold, they would be released back into the wild. Most of the trainers get their starter Pokemon this way. Chapter 18, Pewter City. February. It was already night when they reached Pewter City after walking for a few more days. He was purposely taking it slow to make sure that his Pokemon got proper growth on the way. Pewter City was similar to Vividian City in size, with tall buildings and well-built roads. Both of them were exhausted, so they took a taxi to the large red building, which was the Pokemon Center, and booked a room after giving their Pokemon a checkup. "So what is the plan?" asked Misty. "Let's go on a date tomorrow afternoon. I will challenge the gym sometime later." Hearing about the date, Misty had a smile on her face. Although they traveled together, going on a date gave a different feeling. After a while, their Pokemon were returned from a checkup with the comment that their Pokemon were very healthy and in top condition. Aoki noticed that the nurse was a bit flirty with him, but Misty didn't appear to be affected by it. He didn't want to take the risk of angering his new girlfriend, so he didn't flirt back. The next morning, Aoki left the Pokemon Center early to get some things done. As it would take time to travel to the locations he wants to go to, he booked a taxi. First, he went to the Pokemon Ranger office and submitted the Pokeballs of Beedrill and the honey he collected after keeping some for himself. He also submitted the Pokeballs of the Onyx and Guaidud he caught and got a total sum of 20k Poke Dollars. The Pokemons he submitted were very weak, so the money he received was less. Had they been in the intermediate rank, the money would be higher. As he completed his first high-paying mission as a ranger, Aoki was offered a ranger uniform. Although he was never going to wear it, keeping it would not harm. "Thank you for delivering this, Trainer Aoki. The construction had slowed down, so we immediately needed these Pokemons. Since these Pokemons will go through us to the requester, we will ensure that they are properly taken care of," the person who collected the items said. Aoki thanked him for assistance and left for the next place. Next, he went to the police station to collect his reward for saving the town and received around 20k from there. A lot of the people working there recognized Aoki and were dead set on making him join their ranks. One of the senior officers even offered Aoki can request any Kanto Pokemon except the Royal Starter and Pseudo-Legendary if he joined them. In spite of the tempting offer, Aoki refused and left that place. Finally free, I can enjoy my date now. Aoki reached the agreed area and found Misty waiting wearing a beautiful dress. "You look gorgeous." "Thanks for the compliment. I hope your work is done." "Yeah, it's done, let's enjoy ourselves." They started their date at an ice cream parlor. Even their Pokemons got one. Out of all the Pokemons, Charmander liked eating ice cream the most. "The nurse at the Pokemon Center was flirting with you, why didn't you flirt back?" asked Misty. "Hey? Why would I flirt with another woman when my girlfriend is with me? Why are you asking?" She must be very stressed doing her job, so getting attention from a handsome guy might have relieved some stress. "Who knows, you even give her a night she might remember forever," Misty said. "I am not getting laid with another woman before eating you up," Aoki said, making Misty blush. She has gotten comfortable talking openly now, thought Aoki as he remembered her smut collection. The next place they visited was a massage center for Pokemon and their trainers. The old lady in the massage center was pretty famous for her techniques. Aoki and Misty somehow stopped themselves from falling asleep while their Pokemon fell asleep due to the massage. Aoki decided to learn how to massage and brought a book from the lady. Their total cost was large as this was owned by a grooming association, but the comfort they felt was worth it. In the evening, Aoki and Misty trained their Pokemon for a while before returning to a cheap hotel they booked. Misty's Staryu and Marill were closed to intermediate rank and needed a push to break into intermediate rank. It would take some time for Poliwag and Goldeen to do that. A person with a team of intermediate rank Pokemon can take on at least 2 gyms, and after that, every gym will start using Master or Elite level Pokemons. This was mainly to motivate new trainers. Just as Aoki was about to go to sleep, his Pokédex rang and a message from Professor Oak with some attachments entered his inbox. Seeing the message, a wild smile formed on his face. The message had photos of Leafeon and Glaceon. "Seems like your theory was correct, Aoki, or should I say Professor Gunhilder. I will contact you if the other 2 succeed," said Oak in his message. "Professor Gunhilder, I like that name." Professor Oak is one of the people that knew Aoki's full name, so his new name might create a mystery that excited Aoki quite a lot. Aoki already had a talk with Oak that the paper would be released after the experiment ends. There is no way to increase friendship with Eevee in a short amount of time, so Oak will contact people who have unevolved Eevee for the experiment. This message meant that Aoki would be qualified to be a part of the Researcher Association after his paper was published. The Researcher Association had a lot of research and training equipment which would give a major boost to his Pokémon and bank balance. Professor Oak was one of the executives of this association, so his recommendation carried a lot of value. He informed Misty of this and celebrated with her. The next day they booked a private swimming pool in which Misty taught Aoki some swimming techniques. Although Aoki knew how to swim, Misty was leagues above in this aspect. Moreover, seeing Misty in a swimsuit was a feast for Aoki's eyes. Misty knew that and purposely showed different poses and let him touch her skin. Moreover, she satisfied her perverted nature from this event too. Bellsprout was sitting by the pool with his legs dipped in the water while Pidgey was floating on the water like a duck. Two perverts thought Charmander sat at one end of the pool as getting into the water was near to game over for him, but their other Pokémon enjoyed themselves in the pool. One day I will stop fearing water, Charmander made a promise to himself. Chapter 19, Preparation for the Gym. The next day Aoki registers himself for the gym battle which was set for the evening. There were two types of matches available in this gym. First was a public match in which a lot of people would watch the match, while the other was a private match which cost 1k poke dollars extra for this town and may increase later on. Its description was self-explanatory. Aoki chose the second option. Not all gyms have both options, as some gyms may be small and not fit a lot of people, while some may have a lot of income from the gyms, so their battle are mostly public. Misty wanted to do something else, so Aoki entered a large field just outside Pewter City and started training his Pokémon. Alright, everyone start with the warm-up and then energy circulation. You all have half an hour. From the information he gathered, Brock is the current gym leader. The matches would be 2-on-2 with both of Brock's Pokémon at intermediate rank, as this was his first gym badge. If he had more than 2 gym badges, official or not, it is up to the gym leader to decide the Pokémons he would be using, which could be intermediate, master, or elite. Currently, the win rate against him is 15% even with type advantage Pokémon, as Pewter Gym is owned by the League Alliance. This is because most of the trainers who challenge the gym have junior level Pokémon or don't quite understand how type matchup works in practice, or are overconfident about having water or grass type Pokémon. Note that for participating in the Pokémon League, many criteria must be fulfilled. First is getting at least 8 gym badges, in which 5 badges minimum must be from the gyms owned by the league. This rule sometimes changes to 4 badges depending upon the number of trainers participating in each session. All the Pokémon's battles happening are official matches, so trainers lose a lot of money if they lose a gym battle. Losing a gym match can cost a minimum of 5 to 6k poke dollars, and the price will increase with each rematch, but winning can give up to 40k. It is said that for becoming a gym leader, one must own an elite Pokémon and at least 3 master level Pokémon. In case the gym leader is stepping down and giving his position to one of his family members, the family member must have the ID of a gym apprentice and pass the evaluation by the league. Gym apprentices are trainers who are trained to handle the gym in the absence of the gym leader or become a gym leaders when the current gym leader steps down. This criterion is set because only a handful of Pokémon can reach the elite rank, so the gym leaders can be said to be one of the strongest trainers present in a nation. If reaching elite level was insane, reaching champion level for a Pokémon was almost impossible. There are only a handful of champion-level Pokémons officially known, but Aoki has no idea about any of them. Maybe Professor Oak or Giovanni has one. Red and Blue might have one too, but they have disappeared a long time ago. Aoki looked at his Pokémons who completed their warm-up, so he started to make them master some important moves. Aoki was confident to solo block with Bellsprout, but he wants Pidgey to evolve during this match. The next Pokémon he is going to use is Charmander, who is forbidden to use any fire-type moves. This should be Charmander's biggest challenge. Only by facing difficult challenges, one can truly grow. Yesterday he talked with a trainer whose Pokémon were defeated by Brock, and their reactions were not surprising. Most of them cursed for Brock being too harsh on their Pokémon, while some of them were confident in defeating Brock the next time they fought. Brock has always been Aoki's favorite character from the Pokémon series. Apart from the fact that he is a simp, he is an ideal travel partner. Aoki has confirmed that Ash exists and would start his journey soon from Professor Oak. As the Oak family is often about topics on the internet, Aoki found some things that he was not aware of at first. Professor Oak has a granddaughter named Daisy who started her journey as a Pokémon groomer and recently chose Bulbasaur. Daisy has a twin brother named Gary who started his journey at the same time, but his starter was unknown. Unlike Aoki, who started his journey as soon as he got his starter, 3 of them decided to get accustomed to their Pokémons before starting. Aoki trained his Pokémons till the after and gave them energetic food with some light massage that he learned from the book he bought. Surprisingly, Aoki had a talent for massage. In the evening he met up with Misty and together entered the gym. The front of the gym was made from large rocks with Pewter Gym written at the top in bold letters. The gym was one of the biggest buildings in the city, making it ideal for holding Pokémon battles. There was a man at the reception who told them that Brock was waiting for them after checking Aoki's ID. In every gym, there was a receptionist that manages the slot booking, and this man was in that post. They entered the main hall of the gym, which was a large space with rocks and boulders around. Around the gym were a large number of seats for audience to sit, but it was empty today. On the opposite end of the field stood a guy around the age of 18 with a darker skin tone. He wore a brown shirt and a grey vest over it. He was standing with his eyes closed as if in meditative state. He was Brock, the current Pewter Gym leader. "Hey, Brock!" Misty waved at him. "Hey Misty, long time no see. I didn't expect you to start traveling," said Brock, opening his eyes. His eyes were sharp like an experienced fighter. "You know him?" asked Aoki. "Yes, we have met multiple times due to being us gym apprentices, although he went after every beautiful girl he saw only to be rejected," said Misty as she moved out of the field and took one of the seats made for the audience. "Rejection is common in the noble dream I am walking towards," Brock said out loud in a dramatic tone. "And what is it?" Aoki asked. "I will become a harem king," Brock declared, making Aoki get flashbacks from a certain anime. "So you didn't change one bit. Well, keep working hard, what can I say," Misty said with a light laugh. Forgetting the thing he just said now, Brock looked at Aoki. "Damn, a handsome guy. Girls must be head over heels for him all the time. Seeing him I feel my dreams were crushed before I could even move forward. Control, Brock. You can do it. You will have a large harem. You must be Aoki, the one who won the Junior Cup. I didn't expect Misty to actually travel with someone based on what I knew about her. I am pretty excited to battle against your Bellsprout," said Brock. Chapter 20, Aoki vs Brock 1. Pewter Gym. The door opened and a boy that looked like a carbon copy of Brock entered the stadium with the clothes of the referee. "That must be Brock's brother. Is this your first gym match?" "Yes," Aoki answered. "Are you confident?" "Yes. All the trainers I have faced so far are weak. Show me, Aoki, if you are different from them," said Brock as he took out a Pokeball. The referee took out a device and pressed a button which made a notification pop in Aoki's Pokédex. "You have challenged gym leader Brock. Number of rounds -2. Bet, plus 15k Poké for winning. - 6k Poké for losing. Challenge confirm, Y/N." As soon as Aoki pressed yes, the referee started an announcement. "This is a private match between gym leader Brock and challenger Aoki for the Boulder badge. This is a 2-on-2 battle where only the challenger can switch Pokémon." He blew a whistle which indicated the start of the match. Aoki sent his Pidgey while Brock sent his Guaidud. Brock was surprised to see the size and deep color of Pidgey. His relaxed posture turned serious. It doesn't matter to him what type of Pokémon a trainer uses, what matters is how far can he push the trainer opposite to him. That's the real job of a gym leader. "Let's go Guaidud, use defense curl," Brock commanded. Guaidud was an interesting Pokémon as it had the natural ability to float without having wings, psychic or gravity powers. Rock-type Pokémon were known for their high defense and physical attack, and Guaidud was not an exception. Guaidud started setting up defense curl to increase its already large defense while Pidgey began setting up bulk up and while keeping the blessing from a tailwind. Aoki had removed the weights for the match, so she is at her full power. In order for he has to make Pidgey's attack reach a level that it can surpass Guaidud's defense or exploit his weak special defense. Pidgey Wing Attack. Guaidud Sandstorm. Due to Pidgey's insane stats, she instantly reached near Guaidud and hit him with an enhanced powered wing attack before Guaidud could start his move. The high defense stats of Guaidud saved it from losing too much HP, which allowed him to activate Sandstorm. As expected of a gym leader, he knows that wing attack would not do much, so he didn't ask his Pokémon to dodge. Sandstorm is an interesting move that would increase Guaidud's special defense along, chip away the opponent's health, and make it hard for an attack. No wonder new trainers lost to him. The area around Guaidud was enveloped in a tornado of sand, making it hard for Pidgey to approach without taking damage. As the fight was against a Pokemon that was strong against her type, every bit of health mattered. The mastery of Sandstorm is good but seems like it's consuming a lot of energy to maintain that Sandstorm. Moreover, the range is small. This will work. Pidgey, enter the Sandstorm and use Whirlwind. Move your wings as fast as you can. Pidgey flapped her wings and entered the whirlwind, and as soon as she found the location of Guedud, she attacked the Pokemon with her legs. Guedud crashed on a boulder not before activating Rock Tomb, which dealt large damage to Pidgey. Pidgey cried out in pain, but Aoki could do nothing as that attack was unavoidable. But his objective was successful as the power of Sandstorm decreased significantly. Guedud Rock Throw. Brock didn't give Pidgey a chance to relax and commanded. Pidgey dodge and activate Steel Wing. The wings of Pidgey shined in a grey luster as it destroyed the rocks thrown at her. Pidgey, focus Steel-type energy on your legs and attack. As soon as Pidgey reached near Guedud, Brock commanded his Pokemon to punch his opponent. Boom! Guedud's fist and Pidgey's legs clashed, creating a small explosion and throwing both of them backwards. Brock saw that Sandstorm was not doing much help, so he asked Guedud to abandon that and use something else. Guedud to set up Rock Polish and Harden. Pidgey did the same things as earlier and attacked by focusing Steel-type energy at her feet. Guedud blocked with Protect and used Brick Break. Pidgey too used Wing Attack and overpowered the Brick Break with her type advantage before it could hit her. Ting! Ting! Cling! Whenever Pidgey's Steel Wing and feet clashed with Guedud, sparks would be created. Both Pokemon went at each other without showing any loss of stamina. This much is enough, time to change my strategy and take this win. Aoki thought. Amazing. He is going against a gym leader toe-to-toe with a Pokemon that is at a disadvantage. Misty thought as she watched the battle unfold. On the other side, Brock was getting amazed to see the strength shown by Pidgey. He never expected a Pidgey to show this level of strength. Guedud used Stone Edge, Roll Out, Rock Tomb, etc. while Pidgey kept fighting with her superior speed, Wing Attack, Aerial Ace, etc. and chipped away at his health. Speed vs defense kept colliding, creating sparks everywhere. Whenever Pidgey got hit, she would recover with Roost, while Guedud had no way to restore her health. Roost was a move that restored half of the total HP, but Pidgey had to remain on the ground till that move was in effect. This is where she showed that she was not weak even after losing her advantage. Guedud was slow, very slow, whereas Pidgey was very fast. As time went on, Pidgey started overpowering Guedud's defense with her fast Steel-type attacks that Guedud was unable to defend against. Brock saw the situation getting out of hand and asked Guedud to set up Sandstorm again, but Pidgey still continued her onslaught in spite of taking damage. The more they fought, the more Brock became impressed with the control coordination between Aoki and his Pokemon that most of the new trainers missed. After 15 minutes since the match started, Guedud went down to a powerful Steel Wing. Brock is strong, stronger than Misty both in terms of training and strategy, thought Aoki after witnessing the battle. Misty brute forced her way through in a battle, but Brock had both brute force and strategy. He covered the slow speed stats of Guedud with his strategy and got a good number of hits on Pidgey even at her top speed. Both Aoki and Brock had a smile on their face as they truly enjoyed the match. After defeating Guedud, Pidgey looked toward Aoki. He praised her and fed her a special dish made to increase flying-type energy made from the meat of a master-level Fearow. Pidgey looked at Aoki with a stare of expectation. You want to evolve, right? Go on, you have my permission. Pidgey gave a proud chirp as her body was covered in a wild golden light that illuminated the entire gym. What is happening? I feel tired all of a sudden. Aoki clutched his head as it started ringing with pain. Is this normal? I have seen Pokemon evolve before me but never felt like this. Is this because of our bond? Pidgey must have absorbed my energy in the process of evolution, this is the only logical conclusion I can reach. The golden glow around Pidgey expanded and released a burst of wind which made Aoki slide back by its sheer force. What was uncovered in front of him was a beautiful Pidgeotto. A normal Pidgeotto was around 1.1 m in height, but his Pidgeotto was around 1.7 m tall. The normal red crest on her head was deep red and longer than usual. Her yellow feathers had a tint of golden color to them. The red stripes on her tail were deep colored too. The claws on her feet had gotten longer and sharper. Overall she looked like a mini Pidgeot instead of a Pidgeotto with golden feathers. Everyone was astounded by the majestic looks of the newly evolved Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto released a sweet cry and hugged Aoki. Aoki patted her head and congratulated her on evolution. He called her back into the Pokeball to replenish the energy used for evolution. I have never seen such a beautiful Pidgeotto before. said Brock excitedly. His inner groomer kicked as he wanted to know what type of food and grooming Aoki used on his Pokémon. Aoki was first confused about why her feathers turned golden, but then he remembered that his Pidgey, now Pidgeotto, was the daughter of the tribe leader.
Thanks for listening.